Chapter 455. Late at night, snow rustled down. The luxurious suite of the Sheraton Hotel was fully lit, illuminating every corner of the room. The man's suit and shirt, the woman's overcoat and bra, were thrown under the bed one by one. On the bed, the naked man and woman facing each other was another tempting scene. The man's skin was light wheat-colored, healthy and with a drool-inducing luster, thick eyebrows, a bold nose and a well-defined outline. Even if his eyes were closed and his thin lips were lightly pursed, it was difficult to hide his handsome appearance. The woman kneeling on the man, although she looked tall, still looked young, with a head of lazy curly long hair, a beautiful face and snow-white skin. Her body was pressed against the man's muscular chest. "Ye, you have to hurry up. We have to finish taking photos quickly and put the room card back in Lu Cheng's pocket, otherwise we're dead." Zheng Ling, who was wearing a loose vest with multiple bags and a ponytail, stood by the bed, holding a camera, and stomping her feet to urge Ye. Ye said helplessly, "Aren't you being very cooperative?" Zheng Ling held the SLR camera. "Cooperative my ass. Have you ever seen a woman covering her chest with both hands while rolling in bed?" Seeing that Ye couldn't let go, Zheng Ling teased the model, in the humorous way of a professional photographer. "Put in more effort. You have to think about how to sleep with such a handsome man under your body. Moreover, he is such a big figure. If you sleep with him, you will benefit." Ye thought to herself. Before coming, she had thought it through clearly. She didn't want to set up a monument for herself. Now she was being pretentious for ghosts. With this thought in mind, she cooperated with the camera and pressed her soft chest against the man, posing a seductive posture in her imagination, and said self-deprecatingly, "I wanted to sleep with him, but unfortunately, I drugged him with the wrong drug. I shouldn't have given him hallucinogens, but a stronger aphrodisiac." Ye's hair was drenched in sweat due to her nervousness, and this kind of effect made people think that it was the product of the love affair. Zheng Ling continued to use teasing to distract Ye's attention, but the work of taking photos still didn't stop. "Since it's hallucinogens, then you have to use all means to kill him. If that's the case, then you have to do everything you can to kill him. Don't show any mercy." Her trembling pink lips moved to the man's sexy thin lips, and her slender fingers pointed, indicating for the photographer to press the shutter. After hearing the sound of ka, Ye knew that another set of seemingly passionate photos had been completed. "If I was the person who was drugged today, the possibility of rape would be very high. Even if I wanted to rape him now, he's lying like this, there's no tool." After Ye finished speaking, she even pulled on the pants that she and the handsome man had not taken off. She pretended to smile helplessly, indicating that she had the heart to do it, but her strength was insufficient. Haiqing in March by night, Ye by Yi. The most luxurious place for a sauna in Sea City was the Qin Palace. Ye was wearing a bathrobe for female guests. When she sat down opposite Jiang Zhao, who was wearing a shirt and a suit, she remembered a saying, "Private businessmen don't fight with officials." There was a laptop on the marble tea machine in front of him. He leaned lazily on the leather sofa, his handsome eyebrows slightly furrowed, and he looked at the screen with a serious expression. His handsome face exuded a strong masculine aura, and his posture was very arrogant. At first glance, it was obvious that he was not easy to approach. But God had given him a handsome face. The black suit was of a high-end tailoring that she couldn't tell the brand of. When he wore it, he looked mature and domineering. It made his handsome face appear even more sharp, causing people to suck in a breath of cold air. Although it had been 3 months, Ye's heart was still anxious. But on second thought, what was there to be afraid of? She had this man's weakness in her hands. How could a barefooted person be afraid of someone wearing shoes? Ye's long hair was curled lazily, making her look more mature than her actual age. Her sitting posture was with her legs together, slightly tilted, and her hands were placed perfectly on her thighs. Her back was straight and she did not speak first, showing that she was well educated. Jiang Zhao's gaze moved away from the computer screen and looked at Ye. His lips curved into a mocking smile. His voice was low and rich and his tone was mischievous. "Miss from Yun University is sitting so dignified. This will make me mistakenly think that you are trying to leave a good impression on me." Ye knew that Jiang Zhao was very scheming, so when they took the photo she changed the bedsheets, and then deliberately waited for 3 months. When they met in the sauna, her things had already been deposited, so he didn't have to worry that she would harm him. And from the fact that Jiang Zhao didn't change into a male bathrobe, it could be seen that he had a close relationship with the senior management of this place. But there was no turning back. "Of course, my original intention was to be a good citizen." After she finished speaking, she looked at Jiang Zhao. Her slightly flat almond-shaped eyes were not as cute as her almond-shaped eyes, but they had a sense of slyness. I hope you can give me a chance. Jiang Zhao pushed the computer in front of Yi. A flirtatious photo with cartoon bedding as a battlefield appeared in front of Yi. Only then did Yi realize that he was looking at the photo. But his expression didn't change and his tone was calm. Miss from Yun University said on the phone that I went to your house and had sex with you. But I'm not used to spending the night outside except for business trips. His eyes narrowed slightly and he sneered. And Miss from Yun University, even if you're a heavenly beauty with a fiery figure, I'm deeply infatuated with you and can't extricate myself. No matter how strong my taste is, I can't let someone stand beside me with a camera that weighs several kilograms and flash it for me. His handsome face suddenly stopped smiling and he asked coldly, Tell me, where was this photo taken? Yi's heart thumped. Jiang Zhao's confident and calm manner made her flustered, but she didn't dare to look at him sideways for fear of losing confidence, and even more afraid of being seen through by him. She naturally knew that Jiang Zhao wasn't praising her for her heavenly beauty and hot figure. He just wanted to ridicule her and say that he didn't like her. She felt that she wasn't facing a person at this time, but a sword, an ancient sword made of high-quality bronze, with exquisite patterns, noble origins, amazing value and pleasing to the eye. But she didn't dare to hold the hilt and draw the sword, for fear that once the sword was unsheathed, it would carry a heavy murderous aura and kill the person holding the sword. I want to make a deal with you. She lifted her small face and forced all her confidence into her cunning almond eyes. She stared steadily at the man in front of her without averting her gaze for a moment. For Yun Hongwei. Jiang Zhao didn't ask a question, and Yi pinched her leg again. She suddenly felt that she was too inexperienced. She braced herself and said, Yes. The man's tone was contemptuous as if he was just asking casually. What's the condition? Reduce his sentence. Jiang Zhao looked straight at Yi, trying to see guilt in her eyes. Do you want to serve your sentence outside prison? Or do you want to reduce his sentence from 20 years to 15 years, then 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, and then release him after 1 year? Yi's slightly slanted toes trembled unconsciously, and she couldn't stop shaking. At this moment, it was as if she had been locked in a dark room. Around her, people kept telling her that her feet were bleeding, her ears were broken, and her eyes were blind. But other than the other person's voice, she didn't know anything else. She didn't know whether the other person was a friend or foe, whether they wanted to save her, or whether they wanted to kill her. Jiang Zhao's gaze was direct at first, but then it became fiercer and fiercer, forcing Yi to take a deep breath. In her heart, she decided to throw caution to the wind. If you don't help me, I'll spread all these photos. I don't care about my reputation anymore. At most, I'll just smash the jar. What evidence do you have to prove that the man in these photos is me? Yi was just about to defend herself, but Jiang Zhao didn't give her a chance. He leaned forward and narrowed his eyes slightly. A dangerous aura pressed down on Yi, and his tone became aggressive. Based on the fact that a man who is always under pressure with his eyes closed has half a mouth similar to mine? Eyelashes? Half a nose? Based on the fact that I have a so-called bad taste, and that I like to have a professional photographer record beside me when I'm with a woman? Yun University's Miss comes from a rich family. Don't you have at least the ability to think logically? What is the contrast of these photos? How good of a light source does the room need to have such an effect? Or is it that Yun University's Miss wants to work with your elven photographer friend to drug someone to achieve the goal of blackmail? After failing to blackmail someone, you want to spread these lewd photos? Yun University's Miss wants to visit someone in prison for a long time. Does she have to use such an extreme method to destroy herself? Looks like your 9-year-old brother can already be independent. Otherwise, how can you be so open-minded? Powerful novel Hongcha 866. Chapter 456. Jiang Zhao sat up straight again and said calmly, I forgot to tell you that Lu Qing is on vacation now. If necessary, I think we should investigate him. Yi was so shocked by Jiang Zhao's words that she couldn't regain her senses. At this moment, the phone in her bag started to sing. Yi took it and saw that it was a call from her good friend, Zheng Ling. She picked it up and heard Zheng Ling say anxiously, Yi, I stepped in sh*t today. Early in the morning, people from the Industry and Commerce Bureau, the Tax Bureau, the Fire Department, and the Labor Bureau all came. They checked the license, the invoices, the wiring, and the labor contract. They said that I evaded taxes, that the wiring is dangerous, and that I didn't pay Social Security for all my employees. I'm afraid that I can't continue operating this studio. I'll even get sued. Yi Er looked at the calm man opposite her. After comforting Zheng Ling and hinting for her to delete the photos, she hung up. Then she collapsed on the sofa. It turned out that those who were barefooted had to be afraid of those who were wearing shoes, especially when there was an iron plate in front of you. Jiang Zhao, this iron plate, had kicked her feet until they were swollen. She boasted that she came from a wealthy family and had seen countless upheavals. Even though she was young, she was clear about the dirty and despicable methods of the so-called upper class. She thought that she could completely handle it, but she forgot that she was only 19 years old. Now her opponent was the third generation of a top wealthy family. Who wouldn't give face to the Jiang family in the entire East? And who would dare to offend the Qin family in Haicheng? He had the strong economic power of two families behind him. He had the solid political background of two families. He also had rich life experience and social experience. At most, she had been pampered in the past, but he was the one who was truly outstanding. She had never thought that she would be defeated by Jiang Zhao when she wanted to threaten him. Zheng Ling's studio, Lu Cheng's future. I. Jiang Zhao patted his sleeves and the white dots in his dark eyes became sharper and sharper. Miss from Yun University, the next time you do something, you must think about who you can threaten and who you can't. Even if you break the jar, you must know who you're breaking it in front of. Jiang Zhao suddenly paused. The glint in his eyes was like an unsheathed sword, pointing directly at Yi Er. Do you think that I, Jiang Zhao, have no choice but to enter politics? Yi Er's heart skipped a beat. Right now, she couldn't take a single step forward. Otherwise, she would die without a burial place. Furthermore, the person who would be buried with her was the most important person she had left. Her purpose for coming here had changed from threatening to being threatened. Don't touch them. The sharpness in Jiang Zhao's eyes slowly receded, and his tone returned to normal. I won't mention the photos again. Photos? Jiang Zhao didn't seem to understand. He had already taken out a small pen and turned it on. A red indicator light lit up. He got up and poured a glass of water from a glass bottle and started drinking. Qin Palace was the property of his cousin, Qin Fian. Knowing that he didn't like drinking mineral water, he prepared a warm water bottle. Yi Er understood that it was a recording pen. And if Jiang Zhao agreed not to touch Zheng Ling and Lu Cheng, the recording wouldn't mention them. But she wasn't stupid enough to confess that she had deliberately framed Jiang Zhao. You can start recording. Jiang Zhao pressed the switch and placed the pen on the tea machine. Then he sat down and leaned back. His slender fingers tapped lightly on the sofa. Why did Miss Yun show me these photos? I'm very confused. I just thought that my boyfriend looked a lot like you, so I showed them to you. Jiang Zhao nodded in satisfaction. His narrowed eyes seemed to be telling Yi Er, Miss Yun is indeed a smart person. She raised her eyebrows. So he's your boyfriend? Yes, we took these artistic photos at a photography studio. Don't young people like these things? The effect isn't bad, right? Young people's views are indeed forward. But next time, don't post such intimate photos everywhere. It's not good for your image. He sounded like a parent. And when Yi Er saw Jiang Zhao scheming, she couldn't help but want to kill him. She regretted not taking off his pants and taking a photo of his lower body. Perhaps that would have provoked him. Now she realized that sometimes, it was better to break one's moral integrity. It was obvious that a kind woman would not have a good ending. Yi Er saw Jiang Zhao tugging at his tie. His face was slowly turning red and he looked like he was very hot. There were beads of sweat on his forehead, and his breathing seemed abnormal. His brows were tightly knitted together as if he was enduring something. Jiang Zhao pulled off his tie and threw it on the sofa next to him. Then Yi Er saw him take off his suit and threw it over as well. Jiang Zhao looked at the water in the glass jar and cursed. He took out his cell phone and dialed a number. When the call connected, he scolded sternly, Qin Fian, what the hell are you doing? Brother, I've never seen you invite a woman to my place. I'm just adding some spice to make it more interesting. Take your time. I'm hanging up. There was a busy tone on the other end of the line. Jiang Zhao angrily smashed the phone on the tea machine. Damn it. Jiang Zhao unbuttoned 3 buttons on his shirt, and his skin was exposed. It was a light wheat color with a healthy glow. His chest was heaving up and down violently, and his firm muscles could be seen. Jiang Zhao's gaze deepened as he looked at Yi Er. The female guest robe of Qin Palace had a kimono-style collar. She was a little thin and the collar was empty in front of her chest. There seemed to be a pair of soft breasts that were about to jump out. Jiang Zhao shook his head. Yi Er heard Jiang Zhao's call and concluded that he must have been drugged. Why was he so unlucky? If he wasn't drugged, then he was drugged. But now she was the one who was the most unlucky. Before she could react, she was suddenly pressed onto the sofa by Jiang Zhao. Her mind was blank, and she could only feel the man's hand firmly wrapped around the back of her head. He held it tightly and pressed it against his mouth with all his might. Then, his tongue barged into her mouth as if it had gone crazy. Her tongue was like a thief and he chased after it like a police officer. The pressing on her lips became more and more urgent. Her chin was still in his hand, and he boldly sat on her and held her down. She couldn't move at all. When his lips and tongue retreated from her mouth, his eyes were filled with the ferocity and sinister aura of a 10,000-year-old evil spirit. A man's strength was much greater than a woman's, and now that he was drugged, he didn't know how to control his strength. Ye could only feel that her hands and waist were pinched by Jiang Zhao, and it hurt like hell. Jiang Zhao. This guy was the bane of her life. Hey, you can't go against the rules. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. Kiss, you cannot be clear. Ye was already rambling incoherently. Jiang Zhao's face darkened. Steady? He held Ye's chin and his bloodshot eyes were dark. His voice was so cold that it seemed to be able to freeze everything. Rules? Yun University's miss broke the rules first, so I'll be the one to set the rules now. You better remember this, I'm not someone you can mess with. After her bathrobe was torn off, Ye cursed without thinking as she struggled, Jiang Zhao, you pervert. She hated him. She hated the way he acted high and mighty. She hated the way he lowered his head and strategized, and when he looked up, he could determine victory from 1,000 miles away. She hated the suffocating feeling he gave her. It was as if she had to look at his expression to move even one step. Pervert. Jiang Zhao wasn't angry. Instead he laughed. It was as if he was slightly drunk. Ye dared to conclude that not many people had seen this kind of charm before. Jiang Zhao paid too much attention to his image outside, and he had no choice but to pay attention to it. This kind of unrestrained Jiang Zhao was too good-looking. He didn't have a strict outer shell. He was a kind of carefree and unrestrained person. His beauty was unparalleled. She was still in a daze, admiring the handsome man when the sarcastic remarks of the handsome man above her head were like 10,000 years of ice cruelly splashing her all over. Am I as perverted as you? Weren't you perverted when you used those despicable methods to drug people? Weren't you perverted when you twisted your childish body in a coquettish manner and stuck to a man's body to take nude photos? You. Ye was scared and angry. She was 19 years old, 170 centimeters, and he actually called her childish. He used force to hold her. She heard his breathing become faster and louder. He seemed to still have some rationality. His brows were tightly knitted together as if he was holding on to something. Then she heard him groan unbearably, and then he lowered his head to bite her neck. The wet bites on her neck were densely packed. Ye's breathing became chaotic. Her heart was about to jump out of her chest. Ye knew that if Jiang Zhao was determined to vent on her body, she couldn't run at all. Beauty novel Xinwu 799. Chapter 457. She had been running around for a year because of her father. She knew that there were many unspoken rules in this society. You could not go anywhere just because you had a reason. Jiang Zhao was definitely not afraid of her. She had clearly seen him struggle. Since he had struggled, he must have thought of the consequences. The only one with no way out was her. All of his actions were unfamiliar to her. She was terrified. At this time, Jiang Zhao was even more arrogant and unscrupulous under the influence of the aphrodisiac. Being threatened? Even if he, Jiang Zhao, was threatened, he would not fall to the level of a little girl who was still wet behind the ears. She dared to provoke him, so she should have a taste of the consequences. The more frightened the woman below him was, the more he felt that he had vented his anger in the right place today. In the process of the cat scaring the mouse, the number of times his body clamored and clamored, becoming more and more ferocious. He was getting more and more out of control. His original intention was not to touch her no matter what. But she moved, screamed, beat and cursed. Her long hair became more and more messy in the tussle. That appearance was like she was in need of a man to teach her a lesson. Everything in front of him seemed to have turned scarlet. With a bloody desire to conquer, it wanted to rush out of his body. He pulled down the last barrier of her lower body. Her black underwear, like a cicada's wings, was seductive and sexy. He held her small underwear and waved it in front of her eyes. He chuckled softly and said, "You're so young but you're already so coquettish. You really know how to seduce men." Ye glared at Jiang Zhao. Her hands felt like they were clamped by an iron clamp. Her two legs were tightly pressed down by him. She was the piece of meat on the chopping board, waiting for the bright knife to fall and decide life and death. Suddenly, he pried open her 2 legs and barged into her body like a wild beast. Even his voice was like a wild beast roaring in her ears. "Remember this. This is what you get for provoking me. You only have yourself to blame for everything." The overwhelming pain caused Ye'er's brain to suddenly jump and go blank. When she came to her senses, she had already bitten her lips until they bled. She could not even scream. Inside her body, there was an unbearable enormity. At the same time, it also brought her unbearable pain. It pierced through her entire body and spread to the ends of her spirit. It didn't stop for a moment and it kept repeating. No matter how much she resisted, no matter how much pain she was in, she could not see any pity in the man's eyes. All she could see was his sense of revenge and his anger. She could not cry out in pain or beg for mercy. She was the one who provoked him first and now she was asking for trouble. Cry out in pain? She couldn't afford to lose face like this. She just pretended that she didn't care at all. She awkwardly and stiffly matched all of his tricks, even if she was already exhausted after an entire night. Even if his body and heart were trembling. Every time she visited him in prison, her father would say, "Ye'er, don't worry about your father's matters. You and little Jie should be fine. You are still a child. You're just too stubborn. Girls who are gentle will suffer a lot less and suffer a lot less. Girls who are too headstrong will lead a very hard and tiring life." She was a strong girl. Not only was she tired, but she was also in pain. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Ye'er was awakened by a heart-wrenching pain. When she turned around, she felt as if she had been run over by a car. She touched the bedside lamp and turned it on. The man beside her was sleeping contentedly. He must be very satisfied and exhausted, right? That damn stinky man. Even if she was in the wrong first, he shouldn't be so beastly. She had only pretended to sleep with him, but now he had mercilessly slept with her for real. Even if he had been drugged, he could have gotten mist to serve him. Why did he have to do this to her? She lifted the blanket and got out of bed. Looking at the shocking red, her heart felt as if it had been bitten by someone. "Jiang Zhao, is this what you meant by the consequences of provoking someone who shouldn't be provoked?" He took out a small blade used to trim eyebrows and cut off the blood that belonged to her virginity. 6 months later. In September, Haicheng was hot and humid, but the night was colorful and charming. Peerless Beauty was the most expensive nightclub in Haicheng. The interior was magnificently decorated, and the cups were all crystal cups flown in from Italy. The customers here were either rich or respectable, and it was a membership system. The customers' information was kept confidential, and the elevators in each private room led to a dedicated garage in the parking lot. It wasn't a place where money could be used. The ladies here were said to be the prettiest in the country, and they were also the most educated. Although many of them got their diplomas from advertisements on telephone poles, to men, it was a face-saving project. Whether it was real or fake, there weren't many who were stupid enough to check it out. Ye'er was wearing a waiter's uniform. She held a tray of wine with one hand and was about to go to the bar to collect the wine. Manager Wang, who was in charge of Mommy, rushed to the service department with her gold powder eyeshadow makeup. She looked at department head Lin, who had light makeup on. "Oh my Gigai, my savior. What are you doing? What are you doing?" Department head Lin looked at her with disdain. "Oh, isn't this a desperate situation? I'm here to ask my lover for help." It turned out that tonight's business was too good. There were only a few ladies left, and in the Zhaojun VIP private room, there was a group of customers who couldn't be offended. They were clamoring to order a handsome guy for a beautiful man. The private rooms in Peerless Beauty were all named after famous beauties in ancient times. It always made the men here feel that they were blessed. Moreover, the rule here was to let the customers have fun. How could they not fill up the place? If they didn't have mist, they couldn't afford to lose face. Fortunately, the group of people who wanted to order mist had already ordered. The others didn't seem to need anyone to accompany them. They just found a few prettier and taller girls to fill up the place. There were a few beauties in the service department. How could manager Wang bear to let them go? Ye'er was naturally chosen. Ye'er wasn't willing at first. She came to work from Monday to Thursday when her brother was in boarding school. She wasn't an official employee, so there was no need for her to work so hard. Manager Wang said that as long as she called anyone over, as long as they stood for 1 minute and walked through the motions, the company would pay 500 yuan per head. With that said, the people who were called by manager Wang quickly started to put on makeup and change their clothes. Who couldn't get along with Grandpa Mao? Standing anywhere was the same. Standing for a minute was 500 yuan. What was there to complain about? After putting on makeup, Yi was undoubtedly stunning. She was young and had good skin, so her makeup was applied quickly. After putting on powder and brushing her eyebrows, her facial features became more defined. Compared to when she didn't put on makeup, she looked more mature. Manager Wang kept praising her. That's why there are no ugly women, only lazy women. Look at our Yi. She's a peerless beauty among peerless beauties. This group of people was very strange. Other male prostitutes would enter the private rooms of rich women, but this private room was full of men. Yi sighed worriedly. Public morals were degenerating day by day. Morality was degenerating. What a hardcore taste. Yi was counting the seconds in her heart. Tick 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 tick. She was thinking about counting 60 times and getting 500 yuan. She didn't look at anyone. Her expression didn't look deliberate. She was thinking about her own wonderful things. She wasn't like the other miss who winked at the customers and begged for an olive branch. Moreover, she hadn't really done it before. Although her clothes were sexy and her makeup was stunning, she didn't have the kind of prostitute aura that seeped from her bones. She was also from a wealthy family. Even if she was down and out, she still had the elegance in her bones. This kind of her attracted more attention. Yi finally finished counting 60 times in her heart. She exhaled and turned to leave with a little joy. Who said you could leave? A deep, rich male voice suddenly broke into her eardrums, making her tremble. Even though it had been half a year, Yi still couldn't forget this voice. She froze in place and didn't know how to move her feet. What did Manager Wang say just now? Miss had already been ordered. The others didn't need anyone to accompany them at all. They only ordered male prostitutes. Miss was used to make up the numbers. So they were playing with her? And they were playing so big. They actually brought Jiang Zhao here to play with her? He only dared to come to a place like this, right? The protection here was so good that no media would dare to come here to catch news. It was more like they wanted to die in panic. She didn't dare to turn her head. She gently lifted her toes and wanted to slip away. To be honest, she was willing to lose face in front of anyone now, but definitely not in front of Jiang Zhao. Definitely not. She felt that she had an irreconcilable hatred with him. Hongcha 866. Chapter 458. He didn't hear anyone behind him, so he lowered his head and winked at the beauty in front of him. He reacted quickly and said, "Excuse me, excuse me." Suddenly Yi felt a heavy pressure behind her and her wrist was grabbed. Her heart was in her throat. Manager Wang was, after all, an experienced mother. She immediately walked over and apologized to Jiang Zhao. When Peerless Beauty met guests, she never asked for their names. Basically, she called them master. Only those who dared to come in through the front door would be addressed with their surnames. People like Jiang Zhao obviously wouldn't come in through the front door. Manager Wang was a person with a heart made of glass. She had a good sense of propriety when dealing with people. She looked at Jiang Zhao affectionately as if she was looking at $1 million. "Master, I'm sorry. This girl is new and tender. I thought she was pretty, so I didn't hide it. I even forgot to teach her the rules and brought her out for you to see. She's not sensible, she's not sensible. Master, please dote on her a little. She's a timid girl." Bah. Yi's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. "Manager Wang, that's not what you told me at the beginning." She clearly said that standing for $500 for a minute would make her a sitting position. Manager Wang kept winking at Yi. "Little Rose, don't be like this. It's your honor and also your luck to be chosen by me. Just now, so many sisters didn't get chosen, right? Have a good drink with me." "Little Rose?" Bah. She already had a stage name for her? Little Rose? Why not Red Peony? "Hey, Manager Wang." Jiang Zhao pulled Yi's wrist and pulled her towards his chest. Yi bumped into Jiang Zhao's hard flesh wall and felt dizzy. Yi was tall to begin with and she was wearing high heels, so she stood out among the group of women. At this moment she lifted her head slightly and saw the tip of Jiang Zhaoying's nose. She lowered her eyes slightly and saw him pursing his thin lips. However, the words that came out of his mouth were extremely harsh. "Little Rose? Such a vulgar name, it really suits you." Manager Wang couldn't help but, this sudden loss of self-control made him feel extremely ashamed. He hurriedly said that he would punish himself with 3 cups of wine. Jiang Zhao waved his hand and looked at Yi. The smile on his face was very evil. "No need. Let this tall little Rose drink." Yi felt indignant. If it was someone else, she would give face to Manager Wang. But this person was Jiang Zhao. She couldn't afford to lose face like this. Manager Wang, you clearly said that standing for 500 yuan for a minute. Why do you want me to accompany you to drink? Manager Wang was so anxious that he stammered. $500 per minute? The disdain in Jiang Zhao's eyes deepened. He took 2 steps back and looked at Yi Er from head to toe. 500 per minute, 30,000 per hour. It's 10 o'clock now. If you continue until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 300,000. After Jiang Zhao finished speaking, he clicked his tongue a few times and gave Yi Er a thumbs up. I'm afraid this is the most expensive little rose in High City. What was Jiang Zhao saying? He actually said that to her. Did he mean that she was going to make a move? This was too much. Yi Er exhaled. She tiptoed and was able to press her lips against Jiang Zhao's ear. He was at least 185 centimeters, no more, no less. Thinking about it, their heights were really compatible. She was calculating Jiang Zhao's words in her heart. Although her voice was soft, her tone was unfriendly. Yes, Your Excellency. I'm that expensive. Can you afford to order me? So this is how you spend the taxpayers' money? Or is there someone else who is helping you pay for this? Is he trying to bribe you? The man's deep eyes slowly narrowed. He waved his hand at Manager Wang, indicating for her to bring the others away first. After everyone had left, he pinched Yi's chin and stroked it back and forth with his thumb. Could it be that Miss Yun has never looked for information on the upstarts in the political arena? Don't you know that I have a lot of shares since I was born? Don't you know that when I was 18 years old, my net worth was over 1 billion? Let's not talk about my current status. These are not secrets. 300,000? I think it's too expensive for you. But to me it's only a small amount. Yi was so infuriated by Jiang Zhao that her blood vessels were about to burst. Did he just say that she was a street vendor? What should she do? Should she be angered to death by him? Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Oh, Mayor Jiang, are you going to negotiate with the hostess? It's not right to push up the prices. The man replied calmly. Then those who think it's too expensive can just not buy it. No one is holding a knife to anyone's neck. The woman rolled her eyes at the man. The man smiled and said sarcastically, I am telling you that you must be realistic when doing business. If the price is too high, there will be no supply. Yi Er felt that she was on her last breath, and her life was hanging by a thread. This B***** had insisted that she was a prostitute. He still treated her like a cabbage. It's as if she was worth less than a pound of cabbage. I am willing to wait. Even if the currency will depreciate, I will wait until I reach the amount I want. Indeed, he had just said that she was a cabbage, and now he really treated her like a cabbage. You think you are a house? Can it appreciate? The cabbage will rot if it is left for too long, and you still have to pay the sanitation workers to clean it up. Yi Er pushed Jiang Zhao away. This B****. I can't be bothered with you. She turned and was about to leave. Jiang Zhao crossed his arms and looked up as if he was waiting for Yi Er to return. Then I need to ask your manager. What is the meaning of peerless beauty? What is the attitude of the miss that you asked to come in? Or is it that peerless beauty has recently trained you with a new skill, you want to resist but accept? Yi Er stopped in her tracks. She was cursing Manager Wang in her heart for giving birth to a son with no eyes and a daughter with eyes all over her body. Today she was in deep trouble. The people who could open such a place naturally had a background in the underworld. Don't look at how Manager Wang looked like he was begging for help when he came looking for someone to pretend to be a lady. If any of the ladies here really offended the guests, then they would have to wait for their property to be confiscated. She had been working here for more than half a year and had seen a few cases of people disappearing from the world. She didn't have any background now, so she didn't want to end up dead on the battlefield or be beheaded. Jiang Zhao's eyes were too deep and complicated. Yi Er couldn't tell what he was thinking. Say it. What do you want? Jiang Zhao still looked calm. Didn't Manager Wang ask you to drink a few glasses? Okay. Someone said that vodka was good because it had a strong aftertaste. Good, your sister. I don't drink vodka. I'm allergic. Many miss like to say that they're allergic recently when they're drinking. I didn't know that Yun University's miss learned so quickly. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er as if he wanted to tear her apart. The private room was huge. If it wasn't for the high-end furniture, thick carpet, and large back projection, it would definitely feel empty. A person walked over from the sofa. It was a tall man wearing a pair of rimmed glasses. He looked beautiful and refined. When he smiled, he didn't look proper. Qin Fian patted Jiang Zhao's shoulder. Brother, let's go and drink. Why are you standing there? Jiang Zhao got angry when he looked at Qin Fian, especially when he looked at Yun Yi and then Qin Fian. If it weren't for this guy, he wouldn't have turned from a victim to a perpetrator that day. Now he couldn't even straighten his back. He couldn't speak tough words. He pulled Yi Er to an empty table in the corner. He turned and glared at Qin Fian. Go over there. I haven't settled the score with you for that bottle of water that day. Why are you looking for trouble? Qin Fian shrugged his shoulders and looked at Yi Er. He returned to his seat and pointed to the people sitting on the sofa. They were still curious about what was going on. He hinted to them not to touch the whiskers of a tiger. Yin Yi, let me ask you something. Jiang Zhao grabbed Yi Er's hand that was holding the crystal wine glass angrily. His handsome face seemed to have a determination to get to the bottom of the matter. That night, although you cut a hole in the bedsheet, there were still some bloodstains on the blanket. You. Yi Er looked at the man in front of him. He felt pain in his eyes. After that, he laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Mayor Jiang, did you think that it was my first time? That day I was only on my period and dirted the bedsheet. It's so easy to earn 300,000 renminbi a night. Why should I keep that kind of money? Treat it as food? Jiang Zhao pushed Yi Er's hand away in disgust. His eyes darkened and became as cold as frost. Drink. Beauty novel Xinwu 799. Chapter 459. Yi Er knew that she couldn't win against Jiang Zhao. She was very smart and wouldn't use her weak feet to kick an iron plate. Now she would never admit that she had given her first time to him. Why should he take advantage of her? Otherwise she wouldn't have used the eyebrow trimmer to cut off the blood. She raised her head and the amber liquid flowed down her throat. It didn't have the spiciness of hard liquor or the sweetness of red wine. Vodka to her was poison. Even if she collapsed, there would be a manager to take care of her. It was good that she collapsed. She wouldn't have to be humiliated by this damned guy. Her temples began to hurt violently, and her eyes were a little dazed. The cup fell on the thick carpet and there was a slight sound. As it swayed, she pointed at Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao, you forced me to drink the poison. You forced me. You're too vicious. The moment she spoke, she felt as if her head had been hit by a hammer. It was as if the world was spinning. How could she collapse? Her father was still in prison. It was very humid there. Her father had rheumatism. His shoulders hurt so much that he couldn't lift them. His legs hurt so much that he couldn't stand properly. He needed electrotherapy. Her younger brother was only 9 years old. He still had to study. Now that he was in a boarding school, she still had to earn money. She still wanted to send him to an elite school and bring him to high-end restaurants. She still had to wait for her mother to come back and ask her why she didn't want them. Why did she throw the burden of the family to her alone? She was too willful. She knew that she couldn't collapse, but she still drank all the wine. She was too willful. The handsome face in front of her became more and more blurry. She seemed to see him frowning in anger. It must be her hallucination. She couldn't support herself anymore. She lost her balance and fell backwards. Jiang Zhao, you're too vicious. She remembered it as if she had been repeating it. She vaguely heard someone calling her name. It was cold, as if she owed him money. She didn't remember borrowing money from anyone because no one was willing to lend it to her. When Yi Er opened her eyes, she was in a high-end private hospital. No one was willing to reveal the name of the person who sent her here. Who else could have sent her here? Manager Wang must have felt guilty. Even if that pervert Jiang Zhao knocked her down, it was still the company's responsibility, right? She was not a professional hostess. In the evening, Yi Er persisted until Peerless Beauty went to work. He carefully wiped the wine bottles and then put them on a tray. He was going to deliver the wine. Manager Wang came to the service department again. Yi Er naturally did not give her any face. No wonder people said, only women and villains are difficult to deal with. In the whole world, Manager Wang was the only woman who was difficult to deal with. She was not just an ordinary woman who was difficult to deal with. She obeyed in public but opposed in private. She was a criminal and a human trafficker. She deserved 1,000 cuts. Yi Er, are you still angry at Sister Wang? Manager Wang's attitude towards Yi Er was as if she was really trying to please her. However, this kind of pleasing always made people feel uncomfortable and strange. It was as if this woman was a demon in human form, waiting for people to be tricked into talking to her. Once they spoke, her true form would be revealed. Yi Er puffed out her chest and nodded slightly. Manager Wang, I'm going to deliver some drinks to Yang Guifei. I won't disturb you any further. Manager Wang could see the wariness in Yi Er's eyes. After what happened yesterday, she could not absolve herself from the blame. After all, the person in the service department was not the real Mississippi. Yi Er stood outside the door of Yang Guifei and gently pressed the service bell. The princess's earpiece would receive the command to open the door. She had just handed the wine to the princess when she heard a voice behind her. A surprised voice came from behind her. Yi Er. Yi Er turned around and was stunned. She did not react for a long time. She thought for a while. How should she address this handsome man from before the new year? Yi Er acted like all the waiters here when they saw a guest. She nodded at the right time, leaned forward and politely greeted, "Young Master Min Zikai, 180 centimeters tall, 23 years old, ex-fiancé." When the Yun family declined, he wanted to break off the engagement with her. After that, his whereabouts were unknown. "Yi Er, what are you doing here?" "I'm at work. Young Master Min, have fun. Then I'll go back to work. I still have a lot of things to do." The alienation in Yi Er's words made Min Zikai frown deeply. He could not continue the conversation. Seeing that Min Zikai did not say anything else, Yi Er fled. When she returned to the service department's wine room, she shook her head forcefully and muttered in her heart, "Childhood sweethearts play with childhood plums. True love will always be with you. Liar, liar. Don't love me, I don't love. Don't love me, I don't love." After muttering it a few times, Yi Er sighed as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. After delivering the wine to Zhao Jun, she had only taken a few steps when the princess, who had ordered the songs, ran out to stop Yi Er. She said that someone was calling her from inside. Min Zikai? No, she did not want to see him. Just as she was about to refuse, Manager Wang, who was covered in knives, appeared in front of her. She said sincerely, "Yi Er, go. You can't offend the people inside. Don't worry, Sister Wang will definitely protect you." She cursed in her heart, "Protect your sister? You want me to help you count the money after selling me off?" When Yi Er entered the private room, she realized that it was not Min Zikai, but that pervert. Zhao Jun again? Was this the legendary holdout? There were not many people in the private room today, only 4. Actually, she knew many people in this circle. One of them was the bespectacled boss of Qin Palace, Qin Fian. The handsome man with the tan skin was the eldest son of the Zhuo family, Zhuo Hao. The handsome but cold one was the second son of the Zhuang family, Zhuang Yichen. The last one was that pervert, Jiang Zhao. The 4 young masters of Haiqing were all present. Jiang Zhao sat there motionless. Although he was sitting and was slightly lower than Yi Er, the look in his eyes, the posture was still as lofty as ever. Yi Er walked over and looked at him. Her eyes were full of disgust as she said coldly, "What? Are you trying to get me drunk with vodka again? Is it because you want to see me collapse and unable to get up? Will you feel better? It's only been a day and you're already upset when you see me jumping around again? Jiang Zhao, even if I was in the wrong first, I should have been punished, right? You didn't lose a piece of meat. Isn't that enough?" Jiang Zhao was suddenly stunned. "What? I'm asking you if you want to prank me again." Jiang Zhao stood up and said angrily, "You're really unreasonable." "What about you? Aren't you unreasonable as well? Let's go," Jiang Zhao said sternly. He swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue when he saw Yi Er's attitude. When Jiang Zhao drove home, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning. The music in the car flowed slowly, somewhat innocently. It seemed like it would rain in a few days. The moon was cloudy and the stars were sparse. Other than the city lights, there was no night scenery to enjoy. If there was one, it would be the man and woman running in front. It looked like the man was relatively short. He was running in front with his head raised and neck stretched. He was holding a lady's bag and running with great difficulty. The woman chasing behind him was barefooted. She was tall and had long hair. She would raise her hand and point at the man in front of her from time to time, as if she was scolding him. Yi Er was out of breath, but she did not dare to stop. She knew that it was not easy to travel at night. She had just been given the money, but before she could even touch it, the thief had already snatched it away. What kind of world was this? She chased the thief into a dead end. The street lamps were old and sickly and the light was weak. However, the knife in the thief's hand seemed even brighter. The sharp knife glinted coldly as she waved it around. The bandit's aura was in a frenzy, and his voice was filled with viciousness. "Bitch, if you King chase me again, I'll stab you to death if you chase me again." Yi Er heaved a sigh of relief. Over the past year she had gone around begging for help but was rebuffed. She had long felt that those who fought openly were not that scary. The truly scary ones were those who stabbed in the back. She did not care. She still had her money in her bag. She shook her head, clenched her fists, and stood on tiptoe to warm up. Then she spread her arms like a warrior and finally cupped her fists like a Chinese swordsman. Please advise me. The thief was a little confused. Who are you trying to show off your Chinese and Western moves? I'm trying to show you. Because I want to exchange pointers with you. You don't know this, but in martial arts school, everyone is considerate of their fellow disciples and does not kill. As the saying goes, don't go overboard. But what you're doing today is just right for me to defend myself. Isn't that what I want? Yi Er cursed herself in her heart for being cheap. Why did she ask for a fight? What martial arts school? She just wanted to see if this thief really dared to fight her. She was just bluffing. The fight came to an end after the bandits lost control and Yi Er's cries of alarm. Yi Er only remembered that the gangster was really desperate and jumped over the wall to stab her with a knife. She thought that she could block him and grab the knife, but in the end she could only watch as the bright knife stabbed towards her. Come and see. Song Shu 566. Chapter 460. In the end she saw a bright knife stabbing towards her. Yi Er still cowardly dodged. Just when he felt that he was about to be separated from his brother and father, a black shadow rushed out and kicked the bandit. The shadow nimbly threw out several punches, and with a reverse grappling hand, he firmly grabbed the bandit's wrist and pulled. Then with a cool hand chop, he chopped at the back of the bandit's neck. The bandit fainted, and the knife fell to the ground with a crisp sound. Jiang Zhao tore off his tie and tied the man to the utility pole in no time. Yi Er felt that Jiang Zhao was really handsome like this. Although there was a deep hatred between them and they were irreconcilable a few hours ago, it was now blown away by the wind. If he wasn't here today, she would probably be on the road to the Yellow Springs. Disfigurement or heavy disability were all foreseeable. There was a good saying, hatred is precious but life is more valuable. If you want to live, everything can be thrown away. At this time his image suddenly became great. She was thinking about what to say to thank him. The most classic way of expressing her feelings? For example, she bowed slightly and said in a gentle voice, "Thank you for saving my life, young master. I have nothing to repay you with, but I would like to invite you for supper to thank you for saving my life. What do you think?" The man cupped his fists and nodded. He said righteously, "Miss, you're exaggerating. I happened to pass by and saw an evil man bullying a weak woman. As a righteous man of Jianghu, how can I just stand by and watch? How can I not help?" Before Yi Er could think of the melodramatic plot in her heart, Jiang Zhao had already taken out his phone to call the police. He hung up the phone and didn't thank her. Only the cold wind blew from his mouth. Yun de Miss is a heroine with extraordinary skills. It was all mockery, contempt, and disdain. Their romance after saving the damsel in distress was ruined. Experience told her that if she wanted to get pity from a venomous mouth, it was a pipe dream. Senior Jiang is astute and farsighted. He actually knew that there were bandits here and acted bravely. He is a real hero. Jiang Zhao's expression changed. This little hussy was calling him a senior on the left and a scheming old man on the right. She was cursing him as old in a roundabout manner. He was an official in the imperial court and she actually called him a hero of the forest. It seems like Miss Yun can walk back on her own. I'll take my leave first. Only then did Yi Er realize that the blood under his bare feet had soaked the bricks on the ground. This alley was so deep that Jiang Zhao definitely didn't want to take a statement. She didn't want to either. Which decent girl wouldn't go home at 2 o'clock in the morning? If the police came to investigate one day, her brother would be worried. Seeing that Jiang Zhao was about to leave, she immediately endured the pain and tiptoed to catch up with him. She tugged at his shirt sleeve and said, "You're a great man, so please don't hold a grudge against me. You're a good man to the end." Jiang Zhao looked determined to leave. Yi Er let go of all her reservations and clung onto Jiang Zhao's arm like a piece of plaster. She wouldn't shake her head arrogantly and said, "You can go." In the Peerless Beauties group, she was indeed misunderstood as Mississippi. It was only right for her to argue. The one at fault was Manager Wang. At this time Jiang Zhao did save her. A life-saving grace was great. He felt that she was overestimating herself. It was only right for him to ridicule her. She didn't lose a piece of meat. But how could a person who was saved ridicule her benefactor? She wasn't a person who couldn't distinguish between good and bad. Yi Er failed to live up to her expectations. A few hours ago they were irreconcilable enemies. Now he was her benefactor. Yi Er scolded herself several times in her heart. "Little wench, stop pretending. Hurry up and apologize to our benefactor. If you don't repay his kindness, you'll be struck by lightning." At this time she had to see the situation clearly. She couldn't be blamed for being snobbish. She could only say that she had been forced to be tactful by life. When she first begged for help to save her father, what kind of despicable words had she not said? Ye held onto Jiang Zhao's arm and didn't let go for a moment. She wasn't wearing shoes, so she had to look up to speak to him. She shook his arm and said, "Benefactor, benefactor, take pity on me. Please give me a ride." Jiang Zhao was unmoved. He snorted lightly and said, "I'm old. I need more exercise. I don't plan to drive. I plan to walk back." Ye was anxious. She knew that this guy was angry with her, but she was definitely stepping on glass or something. She couldn't touch the ground at all. She could only flatter Jiang Zhao. "Oh my God, how are you old? A man at 30 years old is a flower. You are only 29 years old. You are the youngest deputy mayor. Look at how handsome you are and how tall you are. You must be at least 185 centimeters tall, right? If you enter the modeling industry, you will be famous all over the world. You will be more popular than all the young girls, beauties, young married women, old ladies." Jiang Zhao unnaturally slapped Ye's hand away. He frowned and said with disgust, "Where did you learn this from? Where did your arrogance go last night?" Ye frowned. "Sai, didn't you feel that there was a grudge between us yesterday? Although I was in the wrong first, there is still a grudge between us. Also, I was not in trouble yesterday." Ye muttered the last sentence very softly, so that only she could hear it. After saying that, she immediately raised her eyebrows. "However, from today onwards you are my benefactor. I have to treat you with respect and love. I won't retaliate when you hit me or scold me. Handsome, bring me away. When the police arrive later, I really don't want to be noticed. It will be so embarrassing if I am robbed in the middle of the night. Also, look at this." Ye immediately looked up and opened her mouth wide. She pointed at the wall and said, "I am a blabbermouth. If I say anything during the interrogation and affect the mayor's image, I will feel very sorry and reproach myself. After all, the words leniency for those who confess, severity for those who resist, will make me fearful." Ye looked down helplessly and secretly looked at Jiang Zhao from the corner of her eyes. Jiang Zhao did not know whether to laugh or cry. Little b***, you are getting better at threatening people. Ye immediately pursed her lips and laughed. She pursed her lips and said, "But it's easy to keep my mouth shut." Ah. When she saw Jiang Zhao was still staring at her, she said against her will, "It's okay if I don't take your car. You can just throw me out on the road." Jiang Zhao looked at Ye's feet and raised his eyebrows. "Throw you out on the road? I can take a taxi to the hospital. It's only 5 renminbi. 5 renminbi? Haiqing's taxis start at 11 renminbi. What's the market price for 5 renminbi? I'm talking about taxis." Jiang Zhao laughed at Ye. "Yunyi, people say that a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Handsome, people also say that a plucked phoenix is not as good as a chicken." Jiang Zhao had never seen Ye like this before. In the photos she was so flirtatious and seductive. When she threatened people she was obviously scared but pretended to be calm. When he saw her at the nightclub, she was dressed so sexily and had a calm expression. After he found out, she was like a hedgehog that wanted to go tit for tat. She drank all the alcohol that she could not drink in one gulp. It was only then that he happened to see someone chasing someone into a dead end. He knew that it was a robbery at night and instinctively came over to take a look. In the end, he found that she was actually fighting a psychological battle with the robbers. Now, in order to let him take her away, she actually did a 180-degree change in her attitude towards him. What a female monster. This dead look was really ugly and unbearable. If you sacrifice yourself heroically to catch a heinous robber in Haiqing, I think I can help you get in through the back door and give you a posthumous title of martyr or something. As Jiang Zhao said this, he had already bent down and carried Ye horizontally. Ye had long arms and legs. When she was picked up by Jiang Zhao, why did she feel like a small and lovable bird? The moon was blocked by dark clouds. The moon did not cause any trouble, so she did not fit the idiom of a small and lovable bird. How can I do such an immoral thing? That's not very good. I think the title of martyr should be reserved for a real hero. In the end, Ye got into Jiang Zhao's car as she wished. So you want to be a nameless hero. After getting into the car, Jiang Zhao could not help but mock Ye. Ye felt that she should make use of Jiang Zhao to treat her wound first. When they got home, she could turn hostile and deny everything. At that time he could mock her however he wanted. Resentment was precious, but injuries were even more valuable. If it was for the sake of getting into the car, everything could be thrown away. At this time, at this location, even a motorcycle could not reach her. She could not be blamed for being thick-skinned. That nameless hero should be Mayor Jiang. What I did just now is really admirable. How am I worthy of being called a hero? Ah. Yi Er leaned against the car seat and pretended to be asleep and did not hear anything. Yi Er removed the broken glass from her foot at the hospital and treated her wound. She also applied some bandages and took some medicine. After that, Jiang Zhao sent her home. When they reached the ground floor, Yi Er quickly said, "Thank you, Mayor. You really love your people. I have reached. Have a good dream." After that, she went to open the car door. "Are you sure you can walk up by yourself?" Attention Xinwu 799. Chapter 461. Yer looked at Jiang Zhao. From his face, she didn't see any expression that would embarrass her. It was just that he was used to being stern and handsome. When he rarely smiled, it was basically when he was making fun of her. How vicious. Yi turned and looked out of the car window. She swallowed her saliva. 6th floor, injured feet. This was a tough mission. Although someone had drugged Jiang Zhao 6 months ago, she was still traumatized. Now he was no longer of any use to her. She would rather go upstairs slowly. Yi-er's feet were covered with bandages. The bleeding had just stopped and she should not squeeze her feet into her shoes. The floor was also dirty, and stepping on it might cause a bacterial infection. She suddenly felt that she was being treated well. The private hospital was very expensive, and the deputy mayor had carried her to the car. How could she forget about this when she was enjoying herself? When Yi-er's feet were about to touch the ground, the car door opened again. The man bent down and carried her up. Which floor? Since that's the case, I will put you on the ground and you can walk back on your own. Yi scolded in her heart. Vicious. He knew she was hesitating, but he did not forget to provoke her and embarrass her. She could not find a way down the stairs. 6th floor. Yi immediately lowered her head. Her face was also red. She was embarrassed. He had even said that this enmity was absolutely irreconcilable. Ever since he had appeared, the process of disgrace had been getting worse and worse. Yi really wished she could travel back to the time when the revolutionary martyrs were fighting bravely. She wanted to interview them and ask them how they managed to survive till the end. This was an old-fashioned neighborhood and the lights in the corridor were not working properly. Yi took out her mobile phone and turned on the flashlight function. She shone the flashlight on the ground to let Jiang Zhao see the ground clearly. One flight of stairs seemed to have no end. It was a long flight of stairs. We are here. Yi took a deep breath and was about to open the door with her keys. Suddenly, a tall figure appeared at the corner of the top floor. The man looked tired and his voice was hoarse and anxious. Yi, what took you so long? Yi was stunned. She quickly turned off the flashlight and almost jumped out of Jiang Zhao's arms. However, she suddenly hugged Jiang Zhao's neck and smiled at the figure. Young Master Min were on a date. There were no lights on the 6th floor. Even though it was almost dawn, the corridor was still too dark. Yi was glad that this was fate. She did not want that person to see her in such a sorry state. A date? Min Zikai's voice was filled with anger after his exhaustion. He slowly clenched his fists by his sides. Young Master Min? Min Zikai. Even though Jiang Zhao could not see the emotions on the other party's face, he knew something was wrong. He had been used. Wasn't Min Zikai Yunye's ex-fiancée? All the rich and famous families were well aware of the fact that the engagement had been broken off. His status was not suitable to be used to create a scandal with her. Zikai, before he could explain himself, Yi's slender arms around his neck tightened. She suddenly raised her head and gave him a peck on the lips, making a soft sound. Zhao, I'm so sleepy. Let's go in. Acting coquettishly? Jiang Zhao had goosebumps. Min Zikai could feel smoke rising from the top of his head. He must have taken the wrong medicine to worry about her. That was why he stayed up in the middle of the night to find out where she lived. That was why he kept knocking on her door. No one opened the door, so he waited here like a fool. He even saw Jiang Zhao carry her upstairs with his own eyes. He did not believe it and continued to wait. He was the most foolish fool in the world. Since there's someone protecting you, I'm relieved. Sorry to disturb you. She listened to the sound of footsteps fading, turning, and fading again. She heard the sound of a car engine starting downstairs. Yi's body couldn't help but tremble. She bit her lips and struggled to free herself from Jiang Zhao's arms. She used her heels to stand on the doormat and open the door. After entering the house, she pressed the light switch and turned around. She looked at the man who was frowning at the door. He must be holding a grudge against her for making use of him. Mayor Jiang, thank you. Not only thank you for saving me last night, but also thank you for not exposing me just now. It was hot and humid in September and it was a little stuffy. Jiang Zhao felt that she was still a child after all. Why should he be so calculative with her? Rest early. Jiang Zhao turned around and heard the girl behind him groaning in pain. He did not turn around. His sympathy was limited to this. He had saved her life today and they were even now. Yi Er called Peerless Beauty to report her injury and applied for leave until Friday. She limped to pick up her younger brother, little Sijia. She explained for a long time that it was because she broke a bottle of soy sauce at home and accidentally stepped on it. When they reached home, the handsome and cool little Sijia put down his school bag and helped Yi Er to sit on the sofa. He turned around to boil some water and said coolly, "Can't you ask Sister Ling Ling to pick me up when my leg is unwell? I will be 10 years old after Lunar New Year. You don't have to pick me up in the future. I know which bus to take home." Yi Er immediately sat up straight. "How can I do that? You are so handsome and I am worried about you. What if you are snatched away to be a child husband? You will suffer." Little Sijia rolled his eyes at Yi Er. "You are so immature. Do you know how much a bottle of soy sauce costs? How can you step on the glass with your legs? You really know how to spoil things." "Yun Sijia, I am your biological sister." Yi Er felt like she was going to smash the wall. Little Sijia poured the water and handed it to Yi Er. He said lazily, "I know. I am your biological brother from the same father and mother. I have never doubted it." Every time Yi Er spoke to little Sijia she would choke. When she heard someone knocking on the door, it was as if she had met her savior. She limped to open the door. When Yi Er saw her biological aunt Zhou Yan, her face suddenly darkened. She tried to close the door but was blocked by Zhou Yan's bodyguard behind her. Yi Er staggered and almost fell. Little Sijia picked up the glass of water and splashed it outside the door. Zhou Yan's face was wet. The beautiful woman who had put on makeup reached out to touch her face. Her whole face felt like it was covered in mud. It splashed. The bodyguard wanted to go forward, but Zhou Yan saw little Sijia standing in front of Yi Er. She was afraid that he would be hurt, so she immediately stopped him. She just stared at Yi Er. Her face was not as nice as last time. "Yi Er, I am here to tell you that since you are not willing to give Xiao Jie to the Yuan family in private, then we can only meet in court. What right do you have? I am Xiao Jie's biological sister. If your husband can't give birth to a son, you can have one with someone else. Why should you give my brother to you?" Yi Er was almost driven crazy by this shameless woman. Last time she had said nice things to Xiao Jie. She said that she would be good to Xiao Jie, send him to an elite school, eat at a high-end restaurant, and as long as her brother entered the Yuan family, she would help her save her father. At that time she and her brother had rejected her. Later on she had tried to persuade her several times. This time she still did not give up. Since the soft approach did not work, she had to use the hard approach. Although Zhou Yan's head was wet, she still held her head high. "Because I am Xiao Jie's aunt. My sister is not willing to take responsibility. Your father is in prison, and you are running around all day without a proper job. Now you have sold the villa. You still want to get Xiao Jie's custody? I want to see which side the law favors. Bad woman. I will only be with my sister. Get out of here." Little Sijia changed his cool and cold personality and suddenly flew into a rage. He picked up a stool and wanted to throw it at Zhou Yan. Zhou Yan shouted for the bodyguard not to hurt Xiao Jie. She took a step back and Xiao Jie threw the stool out. The bodyguard who stood in front of Zhou Yan was hit by the stool. Xiao Jie took the opportunity to close the door with a bang. On the other hand, was still in a daze after hearing Zhou Yan's words. Which side did the law favor? Of course, the side with power and influence. She did not have a proper job. Working at the nightclub was a secret. She had no choice as she had to go to many places during the day. She did sell the villa because she was afraid that when she needed money, she would not be able to get rid of the villa. In this society, it was necessary to be polite. She had to move the money out and store it, waiting to be used at any time. She worked at the nightclub because she wanted to slowly get to know some powerful people so that they could help her. However, she could not let go of this matter. What about now? Which side would the law favor? Which side would it favor? How realistic and cruel. Sister, sister. Little Sijia looked at Yi Er, who was in a daze and panicked. He pulled her hand and shook it. "Sister, don't scare me. I will never leave you. I will eat more. Wait for me to grow taller. When I am taller than you, even if the sky falls, I will hold it up for you. Sister, sister." Yi'er squatted down and hugged little Sijia tightly. Her eyes were wide open. Although they were red, she did not shed a single tear. She said fiercely, Yun Sijia, I won't let you suffer. I won't. But even if the Yuan family has hundreds of billions of assets, you can't care about it. Your surname is Yun. You can only have the surname Yun. Do you understand? Otherwise, Dad will die of anger. Welfare Songshu 566. Chapter 462. Little Sijia knew that his older sister would only be so fierce to him when she was extremely insecure. He hugged Yi'er's head and rubbed her head as he comforted her. Are you stupid? If my surname wasn't Yun, how could I be your brother? I'm your biological younger brother from the same father and mother. This is a fact that will never change. Yunyi, even though I've always despised your name for being too tacky and unworthy of my name, I can only accept it. Yi'er pushed little Sijia away and made a fierce face. Yun Sijia, you're asking for a beating. On Monday, Yi'er had no problem wearing flat-heeled leather shoes. After sending little Sijia to school, she went to work at Peerless Beauty again. This time, she made a decision for herself. She was still in her waitress uniform and tied her hair into a ponytail. Today, she had specially put on some perfume, which made her look slightly seductive. When she was called into a private room by Min Zikai, Yi'er didn't panic like the previous 2 times she met him. It was as if she had expected this. She only asked in a gentle voice, Young Master Min, do you like to be entangled with your ex-fiancé so much? Yi'er, let's be together. Don't use irrelevant people to make me angry. That hug was like the other party's long-awaited release. That kiss was just a sign that he couldn't control himself. He was too focused. The feelings in her heart were still there. In front of her, she vaguely saw her childhood as pure as a lotus. Those days and nights, she longed to be his bride. Was held in Min Zikai's arms. She could feel his passion and deep affection. She could only respond to his absent-minded kiss. After a while, she struggled to free herself from him. I want you to help me. Are you willing? Min Zikai's voice suddenly turned cold. He frowned. Uncle Yun? Yi'er naturally wouldn't mention her father. Family Min was afraid of offending the Yun family, so they broke off the engagement. No, my younger brother. Hu Jinchang is infertile, and my aunt is going to court to take custody of Sijia. I don't have a father anymore and I can't lose my brother. Min Zikai was moved and stroked her hair lovingly. Yi'er, don't worry. In the next 2 days I'll register a company for you. You'll be the legal representative. I'll get someone to handle the company's business for you. I'll also find a supplier for you. This way you'll have a stable career and income and we'll win this lawsuit. Also, I don't want you to work in a place like this. Yi'er was stunned when he heard this. Was that simple? Did he mean to open a shell company for her? She was just a middleman selling goods to make money? She didn't dare to expect too much from Min Zikai. During those 2 days at home, she struggled with her thoughts. Why was she so stubborn? Many times, when she went to ask for help, some people who were old enough to be her father still looked at her and swallowed their saliva. She valued her dignity too much. But half a year ago, hadn't she been raped by Jiang Zhao? After meeting Jiang Zhao, hadn't she still begged him to take her out of the alley? If she still thought that she was virtuous, that she was still the rich young lady who could get whatever she wanted, then she was gravely mistaken. Yi'er, let's be together, okay? Okay. Yi'er understood that when he said, together, he definitely didn't mean marriage, but she still agreed. But I have a condition. Min Zikai rested his chin on Yi'er's hair and gently stroked it. Okay, tell me. I'll promise you anything I can do. I want Sijia's custody to be mine. Only then will we be together. Before that, you can't touch me. Min Zikai snapped out of his daze and felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. He held Yi'er's shoulders and pushed her away, looking at her carefully. Yes, she didn't believe him. She was using him. She was making a deal with him. He took a deep breath and said in a trembling voice, Okay, I promise you. Yi'er added, Before everything is settled, I still want to work here. Min Zikai clenched his fists and agreed, Okay. However, 2 days later, Yi'er didn't see Min Zikai's shell company. Instead, she saw his mother, Mrs. Min, at her rented apartment. Mrs. Min was dignified and noble. She didn't want to enter Yi'er's apartment. She spoke gently and generously, Yi'er, I'll leave after saying a few words. Auntie, please speak. Yi'er politely greeted her and didn't force her to enter the apartment. Yi'er, don't blame Auntie for being nosy. You know that Zikai is a soft-hearted child. He wants you to lead a better life, so he's racking his brains for you. But you also know that your father's matter involves the interests of the government. Family Min is on the other side and can't make a move. You should have understood this back then. Ye took a deep breath and listened to Mrs. Min continue. If we hadn't sent him abroad back then, the trouble he caused would have made Family Min the second Yun family. Ye, you grew up together and are childhood sweethearts. He finally became sensible and promised not to interfere with the Yun family's matters in the future. That's why we let him come back. It hasn't been easy for the Min family in the past 2 years. Just take it that Zikai has been protecting you wholeheartedly since you were young. Let him and the Min family off, okay? Ye pursed his lips and blinked his slightly red eyes. Then he smiled and said, Auntie, it's getting late. You should go back first. Ye. Auntie, I won't look for Zikai again. Don't worry. Thank you, Ye. Mrs. Min had just turned around when she turned back. She looked troubled and said, Ye, don't tell Zikai that I was here, okay? Okay. Ye nodded and watched Mrs. Min leave before closing the door. She turned around and pressed herself against the door. She slowly fell and sat on the ground. She wasn't a qualified bad woman, even though she had sworn to be a bad woman a few days ago. But when she heard Mrs. Min say, let him off on the account that Zikai has protected you wholeheartedly since you were young, she couldn't harden her heart. She was too weak. In the past, her father was a mountain that she and her brother relied on. Now that the mountain was gone, she didn't have the ability to let her brother rely on her. Therefore, she needed to find a backer, a strong backer, a backer that others would give her some face when they saw her. She couldn't afford to delay. How good would it be if she had understood it earlier? She had some assets that she could use, but she valued too much. Jiang Zhao had said before that when you took off your clothes and climbed into a man's bed to take erotic photos, weren't you despicable? When you used those despicable methods to frame people, weren't you despicable? She was despicable. She learned how to drug people at a young age and took erotic photos to threaten people. Being raped was retribution. She was despicable. She used Zikai's feelings for her to negotiate a deal with him for custody of her brother. Mrs. Min came to her door to ask her to stay away from him. That was also retribution. She felt that at this moment she was a typical slut who still wanted to build a monument to her chastity. Monument? She didn't want it. She took out her phone and dialed a string of numbers. The other party waited for a while before picking up. She stood up and slowly spoke to the person on the phone. After she was done, she hung up. Ye stood on the old balcony. The paint on the wall had peeled off in some places, and she could see the sand in the cement. Those peeled-off walls reflected the luxurious life of the past, forming a sharp contrast. She didn't expect to be as rich as she was in the past. She just wanted to be together with her family. Backer. She must find a backer. Even if the world scolded her, you slut. She must also find a backer. At night, the peerless beauty was busy but orderly. Ye began to dress herself up delicately. She no longer just went through the motions with the light makeup required by work. She would draw eyeliner, choose a relatively eye-catching lip gloss, and brush her eyelashes with mascara. Every time she gracefully carried a tray to deliver wine, her temperament, which was completely different from the girls who worked in the nightclub, would attract a lot of attention. She knew that after telling Min Zikai that she had severed ties with him and put his phone number on the blacklist, he would definitely come to this place to find her. If she could avoid him, then she would. If she couldn't, then he couldn't blame her. She couldn't possibly quit this high-paying temporary job, right? Although she had expected it, when she saw Min Zikai asking other waiters about her after delivering the wine, her heart still beat unsteadily. Although it was clear under the dim lights of the nightclub, Min Zikai seemed to feel Ye-er's presence. He turned around and scared Ye-er into running away. The nearest private room was Zhao Jun. She knew that there was no one there today because the princess of this private room hadn't received the notice to start work. Awesome novel Songshu 566. Chapter 463. She pushed the door open and closed it gently. With her back against the door, she couldn't hear anything outside. Just when she felt that Min Zikai had left and was about to leave, she saw a function room on her right in the quiet private room. It was used to create a quiet environment for guests to discuss business. The sound of people talking came from inside. 2 men. One of them spoke a sentence, while the other spoke after a while. She couldn't hear clearly. In a place like this, the waiters had to be blind and deaf. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Realizing that she might be in trouble, she turned around and was about to escape when the tray in her hand fell to the floor in a panic. Who's there? Who's there? The two men shouted in unison. Before Yi Er could run, the door to the function room was slammed open. Yi Er's feet were covered in cold sweat. It wasn't because she had met Jiang Zhao, but because she had met Zhuang Yichen the other night but hadn't spoken to him. Jiang Zhao was used to being serious and cold, but Zhuang Yichen always gave people the feeling that he was ready to take action. The way he looked at Yi Er made her think of two words: kill to silence. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. Yi Er shuddered. From the way the two men looked at her, she could tell that they were talking about something important. They must have thought that she was eavesdropping on them. Yi Er saw Zhuang Yichen take a big step forward. His big palm looked like it had been through hell and was reaching for her. At that moment, Jiang Zhao moved even faster than Zhuang Yichen. Bia. A loud slap landed on Yi Er's cheek. She felt a burning pain. She was thrown to the ground by the man's strength. Yi Er's face was red with pain. This slap almost made her dizzy. Stars appeared and spun in front of her eyes. Her ears were ringing. Yi Er felt that she was going deaf. In the past year, although she had gone around begging for help and had even knelt down, she had never been hit by anyone. Since she was young, she had never been hit by anyone. And the man who hit her, she had even given her first time to him. I told you I didn't listen at all. Before she could finish her sentence, she saw the man who had just hit her fall on her like a mountain. When he squatted down, his eyes were filled with hostility. When he pinched her chin and swung his palm over her face, Yi Er couldn't tell if the rust-like stickiness in her mouth came from her throat or from her mouth. Jiang Zhao. You're so cruel, so vicious. Yi Er wanted to wake up, but she didn't want to. She felt that this society was too realistic, cruel, and detestable. She would rather sleep forever, but what could she do if she didn't wake up? There was still her father and her brother. She tried to open her eyes a little. The color of the coffee was dark brown. Her eyes gradually opened. The light fixture above her head was a large square frame. All the lines were thin, dark brown wood. The bedding felt very high-end in the palm of his hand, and the color was dark. Yi Er felt that something was wrong. She didn't have this kind of taste. The lights in her house were pink, the bedsheets were cartoon, the colors in her house were colorful, and there were countless dolls and dolls. It was dazzling, youthful, and childish. The walls in her house were not so clean, not so bright, and the paint was not so good. You're awake. She was scared out of her wits by this familiar voice. She had never seen Jiang Zhao wearing a t-shirt and casual sports pants before, and she didn't want to see it. Was she in his territory? With a hua-la sound, she lifted the quilt and wanted to jump off the bed, but with another hua-la sound, she hurriedly covered herself up, tightly covering her underwear body. You despicable bastard. You actually took off my clothes. Jiang Zhao held a glass of milk in his hand. Yes, because you're too dirty. I was afraid you'd dirty my bed. But don't worry with your childish figure, I wouldn't be interested even if you took them all off, not to mention that you still have 3 parts to cover. Who's childish? Drink it. You haven't woken up for 2 days. Jiang Zhao handed the milk in his hand to Yi Er. She actually slept for 2 days? Thanks to you. Yi Er gritted her teeth angrily. She tilted her head and saw that her clothes were neatly folded on the bedside table. Everything in his house was neatly arranged. Weird. She stretched out her snow-white arms, pulled her clothes over, and got under the quilt to put them on. After Yi Er was dressed, her little face was red and her hair was messy. She crawled out of the quilt and looked at the man who was still standing in front of the bed, looking at her coldly. He was tall and his gaze was sharp and cold. Why did the heavens make this man so good-looking? Why didn't they let him grow up to be ugly? What a waste of a heavenly gift. Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao and sneered. Her eyes were full of sarcasm. You're really kind. Should I thank you for not killing me with a few slaps? She touched her face. The moment she touched it, it was like that night when he gave her a hard slap. One slap wasn't enough. He squatted down and gave her a few more slaps. Until she fainted. Jiang Zhao bent down to put the milk on the bedside table. Seeing that Yi Er didn't drink it, he took a sip and pulled out a tissue to wipe his mouth. You should thank me. You. Yi Er wanted to get up, take the clock from the wall and smash it on his head. Revenge. Jiang Zhao turned sideways and narrowed his eyes at Yi Er. There was a faint smile on his face. If it weren't for me, perhaps Yun Yi would have disappeared from the face of the earth. Do you think that Zhuang Yichen would have been gentler than me when he hit you? If it weren't for me, do you think you would have the energy to be angry with me? Yi Er was stunned. After being pointed out, she immediately understood. At that time, Zhuang Yichen's gaze clearly wanted to kill her. But wasn't Jiang Zhao afraid that she would overhear something? Why did you help me? Yi Er's voice was very weak, as soft as a mosquito. When she didn't hear a reply, Yi Er lifted her head and looked at Jiang Zhao. He was handsome and charming. When he wasn't smiling, his features were well defined. When his gaze darkened, it would make people feel fearful. At this moment, his gaze was gentle and didn't seem to be oppressive. The oppressive feeling was gone, but the words he said were too oppressive. There was also anger, humiliation, and all sorts of negative feelings. Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao with his long arms crossed. He stood in front of her calmly and looked at her with a slight smile. Yeah. Actually, I helped you by mistake. Yi Er was unsatisfied, but she still didn't believe him. She frowned slightly and said, I don't believe you. Didn't you hit me because you were afraid that Zhuang Yichen would kill me and make me disappear from the face of the earth? Jiang Zhao pursed his lips and shrugged, denying it. Well, I'm a high-ranking government official. I can't just stand by and watch Zhuang Yichen commit a crime. My position doesn't allow me to do so. Actually, I mainly wanted to help him. Who knew that I would end up helping you? I'm not related to you in any way, so why should I help you? Do you really think that I love the people like my children? As he said that, Jiang Zhao actually laughed again. Looking at Yi Er's pale expression, his smile became even more obvious. You threatened me before and I already hated you. In the end, I met you again under such circumstances. Seeing that someone was about to hit you, I thought that I couldn't let go of such an opportunity. Since you're going to be hit anyway, why don't you let me have some fun? It's not very gentlemanly to hit a woman normally, so I can choose a good person to do it for you. Since I can save your life and vent my anger, why shouldn't I hit you? Jiang Zhao. Yi Er roared and jumped up from the bed. She picked up a pillow and threw it at Jiang Zhao. She felt that if she had a shovel next to her, she would pick it up and dig up his family's ancestral grave. Following that, Yi Er jumped down from the bed and raised her hand to slap Jiang Zhao. To think that she was touched. To think that she still felt that she owed him her life. To think that she still thought that he had some humanity left in him. Thinking about all the things that happened in the past, she was the one who started it. She was the one who started it all. She wanted to officially write it off with him. In the end, this guy was a bastard. He helped her because he had such thoughts. What he meant was that a slap would have been enough. In the end, he directly knocked her out. Jiang Zhao didn't know that Yi Er was so shrewish. He thought that she was amazing because she had a sharp tongue. If he provoked her, she might turn into a wild cat baring her fangs and brandishing her claws. If she were a wild cat, it wouldn't matter. The taste was just right. But it just had to be a little leopard. This slap was not light at all. It was aimed at the empty space. There were always a few slaps that could land on solid ground. Yo, Yun University Miss is really a martial artist. No wonder you chased after a criminal with your bare hands. Jiang Zhao was a man after all. He dodged Yi Er with a few slaps. The mocking tone in his voice was obvious. Xinwu 799. Chapter 464. Bastard. How could Yi Er accept this? Jiang Zhao was taking advantage of every opportunity to insult and humiliate her. She couldn't just let it go like this. Hence she rushed over and jumped up. Her arms wrapped tightly around his neck and her legs wrapped tightly around his waist. Now her arms and legs were tied tightly. She couldn't let go of him. How could she let go of such an animal? She wasn't doing this out of selfishness. She was doing this for the sake of the people. Look at how he always looked like he was worried about the country and the people, but in reality he was a living example of a villain. With this thought, she lowered her head and opened her mouth to bite Jiang Zhao's neck. She felt like she was going to break his neck with this bite. She was going to bite him until he died. She was going to bite him until he had dementia. She was going to bite him until he died without an intact corpse. When Jiang Zhao saw this, he was really angry. But luckily his reflexes were extremely fast. He grabbed the chin of the person who was about to bite his neck. With a pull, he brought her back to face him. He narrowed his eyes and smirked. Bite? Are you a dog? I'll bite a dog. Oh, if you want to bite a dog, I'll go downstairs and catch one for you to bite. I'll bite a dog like you to death. You want to bite me? Jiang Zhao's other hand was already holding Yi Er's butt. If you want to bite me, bite here. As he spoke, he pulled Yi Er's chin towards his mouth. Fine, I'll bite. Yi Er didn't care if it was his mouth or his neck. She just wanted to bite him whenever she had the chance. She wanted to bite him until he turned into mush. In the end, she opened her mouth wide. Before she could get close, Jiang Zhao changed the direction of his hand. He was originally holding Yi Er's chin, but he suddenly loosened his grip and pinched her cheek. With this pinch, Yi Er couldn't close her mouth. She could only stare with her eyes wide open and moan, "Oh, oh, oh." She couldn't even speak normally. When Yi Er jumped onto Jiang Zhao's body, his expression had already changed. The two of them had had intimate contact before. Even though it had been half a year and he had been drugged at the time, that night had left a deep impression on him. Whenever he saw Yi Er, he would always think of how wild he had been that night and how satisfied he had been afterwards. However, he was a man with strong self-control. He had never thought of looking for her, nor did he think that they would meet again. When they met later, he also felt a little guilty. After all, she was still young. The men of the Jiang family had been very strict since they were young. Grandpa always said that only through suffering could one rise above others. People who couldn't control themselves couldn't achieve great things. Money, beauty, and the temptation of power. One would always lose big for small gains. A woman like Yunyi was like a thorn. She might be beautiful and dazzling, but he couldn't touch her. The reason why he couldn't touch her couldn't be more obvious. After Grandpa found out that he had spent a night with her at the Qin Palace, he even reminded him from the side, "You can't touch the Yun family's matters. You can't break the balance of this magnetic field." How could he not know that this woman couldn't be touched? However, she was wrapped around his body and even wanted to bite him with that seductive little mouth of hers. "Yun Yi." Jiang Zhao gritted his teeth. "I advise you not to move any more." Ye was still angry. She loosened her hand around his neck and freed herself to pry Jiang Zhao's large palm away. As Yi moved, Jiang Zhao already felt his heart beating faster. After all, this position was too much. He suddenly remembered that when he brought her back that day, he took off her clothes and used a towel to wipe the dirty parts of her body before throwing her on his bed. The 19-year-old girl also had a good figure. Although it wasn't exaggerated, it was rare for her to have a well-proportioned body. The fragmented images in his mind were all of those charming and seductive scenes. "Okay, I'll let you bite me to your heart's content. Let's see who can bite who." After Jiang Zhao finished speaking, his eyes overflowed with a sinister light. He took a step forward and fell forward on the large bed, firmly pressing Yi under him. "MMM, MMM, MMM." Yi used her hands and feet, punching and kicking like a fish in shallow water. She couldn't catch her breath and let the man's tongue wreak havoc in her mouth. When her fists hit his back, it was like hitting an iron plate. She wanted to bite off his tongue, but her cheeks were pinched painfully. She couldn't even bite her own tongue to commit suicide, let alone bite him. Yi's little mouth twitched, looking like she was about to cry. This expression made Jiang Zhao stop. Just as he relaxed his grip, Yi took the opportunity to pry Jiang Zhao's hand away. She looked pitiful and said in a sobbing tone, "Uncle, don't be a hooligan." Jiang Zhao frowned. A woman who had slept with him called him uncle. Other than being old, what other hidden meaning could there be? Of course he was angry. "What? Don't tell me you don't think I'm a hooligan? I remember you always called me a pervert." Seeing that Jiang Zhao's mouth was about to come closer again, Yi said anxiously, "But uncle, you should be a hooligan with good manners. You're someone who's educated." Jiang Zhao's expression was still nonchalant. "Of course I understand the importance of cultural knowledge and a modern hooligan. Don't you think I'm a hooligan with good manners? Otherwise, why would you sleep on my bed naked for 2 days?" Yi thought about the meaning of his words and asked tentatively, "Uncle, you mean to say that you let me sleep on your bed for 2 days so that I'll taste better when I wake up 2 days later?" He snorted. Intuitively speaking, yes. After all, a dead fish isn't interesting and the mark on your face hasn't disappeared. It's an eyesore. Yi was so angry that she was about to tremble. It seemed that the reason why the older generation of revolutionaries were so determined and tenacious was completely because of the continuous increase of the enemy's suppression index. She let out a long breath. "This is the quality of an uncle?" Jiang Zhao raised his handsome eyebrows slightly and said proudly, "This is actually a kind of cultivation." "Cultivation?" He said he was cultivated? Cultivation my ass. Why couldn't she win against him? Yi was still pinned down and couldn't get up. She could only pinch Jiang Zhao's clothes and then clasp her hands together to beg for forgiveness. "Uncle, please don't play with me, okay? I can't continue with this psychological warfare. I've lost to you. I beg you, let me go. I'll follow your lead in the future and won't dare to have any disrespect." Jiang Zhao's expression was unreadable. He shook his head. "Your words can't be trusted." Yi was anxious. "Why can't my words be trusted?" Jiang Zhao sneered. "One night, I don't know what happened, but I saved a little B*****'s life. That little B***** also said that from then on, I was her benefactor and that she wouldn't retaliate if I hit her or scold her. But you don't know, that little B** starred is now riding on my head. Ye was wondering why Jiang Zhao didn't just go off with a big bomb and directly transmigrate to the imperial palace to become an official and the head of the eunuchs. He actually called her a little B** starred. But the expression on her face was still obsequious. Isn't that because she's young and immature? Jiang Zhao said innocently, but she's already an adult. Ye said again, Uncle, you see, your teeth are good. I'm too tender and can't chew on it. A mature woman is good. A mature woman has a good figure, good taste, and chewy. In Uncle's mouth she'll definitely be delicious. Jiang Zhao looked into Ye's eyes. The stars in her eyes were shining brightly. On the surface, there was a layer of pitiful fawning, but underneath, there was a pool of little tricks. This woman was just a little fox. Being pressed down on the bed by him, her long hair was a mess, and her face looked even smaller. Her white and clean face was red from the struggle and nervousness. If he were to pinch it, he was afraid that water would come out of it. Jiang Zhao reached out and pinched Ye's face. He patted it and said, in a situation where you're not mature yet, you can also make do with the tender ones. Sometimes when you're old, your teeth aren't good. Tender things are easy to chew, easy to swallow, and easy to digest. You just want to sleep with me, don't you? Ye suddenly changed into a fierce shrew and asked through gritted teeth. Ye's heart was filled with anger. She always felt that no matter what she did in front of him, her imposing manner was always lacking. She apologized and admitted her mistake, but he didn't appreciate it. He even had the nerve to say that he was a well-mannered hooligan. Her words were filled with disdain. It's not like I haven't slept with you before. Who's afraid of who? I'm just afraid that your body is weak and won't be able to withstand the torment of a young man. Ye flipped over and straddled Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao took the opportunity to put his hand under Ye's clothes. Under his hand was silky smooth skin. Tiske, you're indeed tender. Ye panicked and realized that she couldn't afford to be taken advantage of. She couldn't afford to play the game of not owing anyone anything after sleeping with him. The previous time they slept together, it was because he had saved her twice. An idea flashed through her mind. She continued to straddle Jiang Zhao, but after turning her upper body, she bent her elbow and was about to hit Jiang Zhao's manhood with all her strength. Who told you to use your brother to scare people? Jiang Zhao had already seen through the flickering in her eyes. She was indeed a little hoof. He bent his long legs and exerted force with his waist. Ye lost her balance and her head hit Jiang Zhao's knee. In her mind, she sang the song Liang Jingru's Ningxia, the sky was dotted with stars. A woman's heart is truly the most poisonous. I already said that your words can't be trusted. Today, Uncle will use an experiment to prove which of us is weak and which of us can't withstand the torment. Jiang Zhao didn't seem to be angry. When he spoke, he even had a slight smile on his face. Originally, he looked very righteous in his suit, but now there was a hint of wickedness. He reached out to take off Ye's clothes, who was already seeing stars. Add Xingwu 799. Chapter 465. Impure images flashed through Ye's mind. For example, that night when he stripped naked and rode her, his brother saluted her with pride and arrogance. After the pain, she felt a lump in her throat. Why did those inexplicable images suddenly appear in her mind now? Why did she feel like she was looking at Jiang Zhao when he was completely naked? Who was the pervert? At this moment, Jiang Zhao's mobile phone rang. Ye regained her senses and she felt relieved. Jiang Zhao heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. This call came at the right time. He does not want to continue playing with this girl. Jiang Zhao looked at Ye cautiously. Ye felt a lot more nervous after being stared at. She sat up and watched as Jiang Zhao stood up with a cold expression. He walked to the window and picked up the call. He drew the curtains. The sun was already shining brightly outside, and it rushed directly into the bedroom. Subconsciously, she covered her eyes and rubbed them for a while. Then, she moved her hands away and looked at the back of the person by the window. The sunlight was like a huge lotus, releasing thin strands of water that sprinkled all over his body. In an instant, they blended together and made his silhouette overflow with light. He was tall and straight, with a sense of valiance. Actually, he was not that bad. If he was really that bad, she would hate him like how she hated her youngest aunt, Zhou Yan. She was just a little afraid of him and was not willing to accept it. He answered the call and did not say much. Yes, no. You don't have to worry about this. I know what I'm doing. Yes, I promise. He only said a few words, and it was the same as when she first met him. He was cold and did not know how to joke. Jiang Zhao turned and walked towards Ye. Yi sat on the bed and moved back a little. After that, she jumped off the bed and stood far away from the bed. She did not want to have a conflict with him. Mayor Jiang, sorry for bothering you for 2 days. I will go back first. The most important thing was to leave this wolf's den. If this continues, Yi will not be able to take it. She might not be able to settle her family's matters properly, and she might be sent to a mental hospital by Jiang Zhao. That would not be good. Jiang Zhao bent over and placed his mobile phone on the bedside table. He took off his t-shirt, revealing his toned and perfect body. Yi, who only knows how to fantasize about naked men, almost had a nosebleed. His muscles were firm but not fat, tight but not exaggerated. His abdomen area was like a grid and it went all the way down. You only know how to cherish something after you lose it? Jiang Zhao teased Yi, and Yi took a while to understand what he meant. Why don't we continue? At your age, it's normal for you to have feelings of love. Mayor Jiang is so humorous. Yi laughed. Feelings of love. Yi's face had unknowingly turned completely red. However, the age gap between them seemed to be a little too big. Jiang Zhao only glanced at her indifferently, as if there was no interaction between them just now. He said casually, later take down the bedsheets and blankets and wash them. Don't touch my things. After saying that, he walked to the wardrobe and opened it. Yi saw the clothes in the wardrobe were arranged according to the color cards. From dark to light. Feng Yu's long fingers slid across the clothes pole and landed on a light blue shirt. After that, Yi watched Jiang Zhao pick a pair of trousers and a tie. He opened the drawer and all the ties were arranged according to the color cards. Pure color, striped, wavy, dark lines. He should have taken in a lot of things. Everything was arranged so neatly. His bedroom was big and it was well equipped. She thought he had a special dressing room in his house. There was a soft carpet at the end of the bed. Although it was dark-colored coffee, it felt very clean and comfortable. Although she did not like such dark colors in the past, she still felt comfortable. Looking at the way he picked things was a kind of enjoyment. Don't be fooled by how cool he was when he wasn't smiling. When he lowered his eyes, it was frightening. However, when his slender fingers shuttled through various fabrics, it was indescribably elegant. Come over and help me tie my bow. Did he treat her as a maid? Didn't you say you don't retaliate when I hit you, don't retaliate when I scold you and only follow my lead? You're not willing to tie a tie? Oh. Yi accepted it. She walked over and helped Jiang Zhao tie the tie. Standing in front of him without high heels, she felt that she should be 5 centimeters taller. Is there a washing machine at home? Yi asked as she stared at the tie. She should wash the blanket. She slept in his bed. Don't tell me you want to wash it by hand? Yi complained. Did this person have to look like he would not stop until he choked her to death? She pulled the knot of the tie in her hand into the right position. Yi reached a finger into Jiang Zhao's collar. It shouldn't be too tight. Well, then I'm done. Do I pull the door open or do I need to lock it with a key? Jiang Zhao walked to the full-length mirror and looked at it with satisfaction. He did not turn his head and only asked calmly, Are you leaving? Of course. Was she going to stay here and wait for him to come back and tease her? Now that she thought about it, he must have teased her on purpose. Otherwise, he could have hung up and continued. But he did not. Jiang Zhao walked to the bedside table and picked up the phone. Holding it in his hand, he said in a forceful tone with a hint of warning, You can't leave. Not only can you not leave, but you can't reject the beauty at work for the next few days. You can't go downstairs either. There's a lot of food in the fridge. Make yourself some food. Yi could not help but feel nervous. What? Jiang Zhao's tone was calm as if he was talking about something trivial. It's not a good time for you to meet Zhuang Yichen. It's also not a good time for people to know that you left my apartment. It's best if you don't cause trouble for me. Her heart trembled. He wants to get rid of me? Jiang Zhao had already reached the bedroom door. When he grabbed the cold handle of the door, he suddenly turned around. He exuded a cold aura that had not been seen in a long time. His eyes were as deep as the sea and there was a hint of coldness in them. He stared intently at Yi's eyes and asked coldly, What did you hear at the door that day? Yi's heart trembled when she recalled Zhuang Yichen's murderous gaze that night. She hurriedly waved her hands and explained, I really didn't hear anything. I swear. I went in to avoid Minzikai. Also, your door was closed. The beauty soundproofing was so good. I couldn't have heard anything. Jiang Zhao relaxed his gaze and said, It's useless for you to say that now. You don't believe me? He had said that her words could not be trusted. Jiang Zhao did not answer her directly. Whether I believe you or not is one matter. Whether Zhuang Yichen wants your life or not is another matter. Yi Er's face turned even paler. What serious matter would he want my life for? You're the magistrate. How could you allow him to do this under your nose? Jiang Zhao smiled and asked in return, what if he didn't do it under my nose? Yi Er did not dare to ask in detail. Her father had taught her since she was young that sometimes the less she knew, the better. Sometimes she had to pretend not to know even if she knew. Now that it was a matter of life and death, she was already feeling uneasy and did not dare to say more. For some reason Yi Er was very touched by Jiang Zhao's treatment of her. She lowered her head slightly and asked softly, Jiang Zhao, you said that you're not related to me in any way. Why are you helping me like this? I've threatened you before and almost harmed you. He let her stay here. Wasn't he afraid that she would harm him? Did this mean something else? However, Jiang Zhao said, there are some simple things that you don't have to think about so much. Yi Er looked at him but could not see anything. Why did a man's eyes have to be so deep? They were like the bottomless sea and also like a forest where one could not see the path ahead. If she continued to look at them, she would be lost. It was really a beautiful forest. After Jiang Zhao left, Yi Er started to remove the blanket that she had slept in. In the past year or so after the Yun family collapsed, she had naturally done all the housework. However, the house was too clean. The master bedroom, guest room, living room, dining room, kitchen. There was no place for her to do anything. After washing the blanket and drying it, she could not find anything else to do. Yi Er lay on the sofa and looked at the clock on the wall. In the quiet living room, only the ticking sound of the clock's hands could be heard. Her mind was filled with images of Jiang Zhao teasing her and those seductive abs. One look and she could tell that he was so powerful. She was shocked to find that she was thinking about spring. She had a feeling that Jiang Zhao was helping her because he liked her, even though he was much older than her. Oh my God. This was terrible. In the past, she had never thought that she would interact with a man who was so much older than her. Luckily, he was handsome, tall, and had a great figure. Actually, he was not sharp-tongued. He was just humorous. Yi Er shook her head forcefully and covered her burning face. No, she could not think about it anymore. If she continued to think about it, she would die of embarrassment. Yi Er curled up on the sofa and bit her fingers. She frowned and hated herself. Yunyi, can't you be more mature? Have you never seen a man before? You are so useless. Yi Er thought that Jiang Zhao would come home for dinner, but he did not. She waited until she thought that she was so hungry that she was about to meet the king of hell. Then she made some noodles and ate them. Jiang Zhao did not allow her to leave. She should still sleep in the same place, right? Hence, she rearranged the bedsheets that were full of the smell of the sun and covered them with it. Lying on the bed, Yi Er thought about it. She used to think that Jiang Zhao could not be her backer because she would not be able to get any help from him. But why couldn't she? Having a backer like him was the best. He was handsome, rich, and powerful. Who would dare to not give face to the Jiang and Qin families? If he wanted to protect her, no one would dare to do anything to her. Just like now, if Zhuang Yichen wanted to get rid of her, he could leave her in his house. She was not sure about Zhuang Yichen's strength, but if he dared to kill someone in front of Jiang Zhao, he must be very capable. But wasn't the second young master of the Zhuang family not favored? Could it be that the rumors were wrong? Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen seemed to have a special relationship. Were they plotting something that night? Were they afraid that she would overhear something that made Zhuang Yichen want to kill her? Could it be that there was a secret between him and Jiang Zhao? Awesome novel Hongcha 866. Chapter 466. Could it be that Zhuang Yichen can kill someone so easily? He dares to let the deputy mayor know about this? No. Jiang Zhao had said that Zhuang Yichen does not have to do this under his watch. That means Jiang Zhao did not participate in this and did not see it. That means he can ignore it. Is this what he means? When Yi Er thought of this, she did not dare to think further. She felt a chill down her spine. Seems like it will be hard for her to stay alive if she goes out like this. She still needs to bring her younger brother to visit her father on Saturday. What should she do? Should she stay here for the rest of her life? No. She must go back as soon as possible. Barefooted, walked to the window and gazed at the night sky that was as blue as ink. The stars twinkled one after another. She suddenly felt that she was just a star in the vast universe, the kind that couldn't reflect the sunlight. It was too lonely. When she thought about the danger she is in, she felt terrified. She looked at the time on her phone. It's already 1 a.m. She called Jiang Zhao but no one answered. She called again. Just when Yi thought something had happened to Jiang Zhao, the phone was picked up. It was a man's lazy voice, as if he was sleep-talking. "Hello? Are you sleeping?" There was a small flame that was ready to ignite. She was still worried about him. "Nonsense. Aren't you sleeping at home?" The man on the other end of the line replied impatiently. "Of course I am sleeping at home." Beep, 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 damn. Yi threw her phone on the bed. She was touched for nothing? This guy is a crafty rabbit with 3 burrows. No wonder the house is so clean. He is not here to stay. Yi suddenly realized that she is very irritable and irritated. She shook her head, kicked the bed and hit the pillow. She still can't vent her anger. She screamed twice. "Who is your backer? Damn your head." He is not interested in her at all. The more Yi thought about it, the angrier she got. She was so angry that she huffed and puffed. She picked up the phone and dialed the number again. After a while, the call was picked up. Before there was a sound, she screamed angrily, "I don't want you to care. Whether he's dead or alive is none of your business. I'm leaving." Yi hung up the phone and turned it off. She didn't know what was wrong with her, but she was furious. Although she said that she was leaving, she put on her clothes and combed her hair slowly. After tidying up for an hour, she finally finished putting on her clothes. What did he think he was? A bunch of old bones. She didn't even like him. Slammed the door and even kicked the iron door angrily. "Oh," she called out. "How silly. Did she forget to wear her sandals? Idiot." After leaving the neighborhood, Yi realized how willful she was. It was not just expensive to go back in the wilderness. There weren't even any taxis. But he couldn't go back to Jiang Zhao's house. The door was locked. Should he go back and squat at the door? How embarrassing. It was late at night in the middle of summer in the suburbs. It wasn't stuffy at all. Instead, it was pleasantly cool. The chirping of insects was endless. But the more it was like this, the quieter it was. Yi couldn't help but look around. The thumping sound in her heart had already drowned out the chirping of the insects. This place was in the northern suburbs. She lived in the west. How long would she have to walk? Moreover, there was a stretch of road without any buildings. It was too scary. There were a few cars parked by the roadside. It was a black mid-range car. There were 2 men in the driver's seat and the passenger's seat. One had a full beard, and the other had a short scar on his nose. They didn't seem to be resting. Their gazes were like nighthawks searching for their prey. It made one nervous. The car window was open 3 fingers wide. Yi had just walked over when the man with the short scar lifted his chin at the man with the beard. "Boss said that we can't dirty this place." The man with the beard stared at the rearview mirror with murderous eyes and nodded. The more Yi walked, the more flustered she became. She couldn't take it anymore. She really didn't dare to walk at night. It was too scary, especially after the incident of her bag being robbed. Behind her, she heard the sound of a car engine revving. Thinking it was a taxi, she was overjoyed. She walked to the road and was about to turn around to hail a taxi. But when she saw that it wasn't a taxi, she put down her hand. But the car suddenly sped up and charged straight at her. No, the car's license plate was blocked. Yi's heart was beating wildly. She was so nervous that her fists were trembling. She took a deep breath, turned around and ran. Jiang Zhao was right. It was so late at night and so empty. The car could make a turn in one go. She wanted to find a place with a ladder to run, but she couldn't find one. She was even more scared than when she met the robber last time. She knew that the person she had inexplicably provoked this time wasn't ordinary. As she ran, she turned on her phone. Before the music on her phone could finish playing, the rumbling sound of the accelerator came from afar. A bunch of bright headlights shone on her, and she instinctively raised her hand to block them. The car was also driving very fast. When it stopped beside her, Yi almost thought that she had been hit from both the front and the back. Yi was so scared that she didn't dare to move. She heard the sharp sound of brakes not far behind her. She turned around and saw that the car that was rushing towards her had come to an emergency stop. Jiang Zhao slammed the car door and got out. When he looked at Yi felt that it wasn't Zhuang Yichen who wanted to kill her, but Jiang Zhao who wanted to kill her. She had seen Jiang Zhao's car before. It was an Audi issued by the company. This time he was also driving an Audi, but it wasn't an ordinary Audi. It was an A8. Her wrist was almost crushed. After the car door was pulled open, Yi was violently thrown into the car. Jiang Zhao got into the car and slammed the car door. He didn't start the car. Instead, he turned sideways and reached out to grab Yi's neck, who was still gasping for air. The evil spirit's fierceness surfaced in his eyes again. He said fiercely, Yunyi, I'm warning you. If you want to die, then go and die far away. Get out of Haiqing and die. Don't King cause me trouble. This was the first time Yi had heard Jiang Zhao scold someone, and he used such a fierce attitude. He actually told her to go and die. Go and die far away. She suddenly felt very wronged. She had already forgotten that her breathing was abnormal. She grabbed Jiang Zhao's hand and with reddened eyes she used a very loud voice to hide her sadness. So what if I die? Wait for me to buy insurance for my brother, then I'll go and die somewhere else. I won't cause you any trouble. You people can control people however you want. I'm also living a life worse than death after being tortured by you people. Jiang Zhao gritted his teeth and cursed under his breath. His large hand flung Yi's neck away, and he looked at the mid-range car in the rearview mirror. He took out his cell phone and dialed a number. He glared at Yi, and Yi didn't dare to make another sound. Jiang Zhao's face seemed to be wearing a thick metal mask. There was no warmth, only coldness. He held the phone and said in a deep voice, I said I guarantee it, but you actually asked someone to come here. It looks like my reputation is really worthless. This won't do. I have to hear your promise. Jiang Zhao hung up the phone and didn't say anything. He kept staring at the rearview mirror until he saw the car turn around and leave. Only then did he start the car. The car stopped in front of the old residential area. The man didn't look at the person beside him and said coldly, You can go to work tomorrow as usual. Without instructions to clean and serve the private room, employees are forbidden from entering, right? Yi nodded hesitantly. Get out of the car. Before she could say thank you, Yi was already chased out by Jiang Zhao. It looked like he hated her very much. Yi tossed and turned all night and didn't sleep well. Early the next morning she received a court summons. Looking at the contents of the summons, it turned out that Zhou Yan was also afraid of changes. Otherwise, why would she act so quickly? Yi put on her clothes and went straight to elfin photography. She had to talk to someone. Elfin photography, on the 2 floors, was not small. A set of photos ranged from a few hundred to a few thousand yuan. The profit margin was also very high. She asked her assistant and photographer along the way and finally found Zheng Ling in her office. Zheng Ling still liked to dress loosely. She was tall and looked like a girl who grew up in Jiangnan. She was very beautiful and always had a kind of enthusiasm. Countless models who were photographed by her were willing to smile at her camera. What's wrong? Zheng Ling asked carefully when she saw Yi's serious expression. Yi sat on Zheng Ling's desk with her shoulders slumped. Frowning, she explained clearly about the court summons. Zheng Ling also lifted her butt and sat next to Yi. She slammed the table and said, Is there no law? Yi said, Those with power and influence are the law. Min Zikai originally said that he would help me set up a company. This way I would have a stable income and it would be easy to get custody. But his mother came looking for me. I don't dare to use the money from selling the house to start a business. What if I lose money? Zheng Ling thought for a moment and said with a relaxed expression, Yi, I'll give you shares. You will have a business. This way you can win the lawsuit. Yi was suddenly delighted. Really? Then after this lawsuit is over, I'll transfer the shares back to you. Zheng Ling shook her head and waved her hand. No, no, no. She reached out and held Yi's shoulder. She said sincerely, Yi, you lent me the money to open this studio. In the beginning I said that I would let you invest in it, but you refused. I've always wanted to help you, but every time I've been more of a hindrance. If I can help with CJ's matter, I'll feel better. Yi refused to accept it no matter what. Zheng Ling jumped down from the table and flared up. Yunyi, our family is already doing very well. Why are you so stubborn? At this moment, the half-closed door was pushed open. It was Mother Zheng. When she saw Yi, the smile on her face grew to the corners of her eyes. Yi, it's great that you're here. Auntie made stewed meat with bamboo shoots for lunch. Let's eat together. Mother Zheng turned her back to Yi and glared fiercely at Zheng Ling. Zheng Ling immediately felt extremely awkward. Zheng Ling wanted to pretend that she didn't see it, but Mother Zheng pulled her into the room. She could only smile apologetically at Yi. Mother Zheng smiled eagerly at Yi. Yi, wait for Auntie. Say a few words to Ling Ling. Yi smiled and nodded. Then she heard Zheng Ling trying her best to lower her voice. Mom, what are you doing? What am I doing? If I didn't come, would you have given this studio to someone else? Zheng Ling was frustrated. How is that giving it away? I'm just giving Yi some shares. This way she will have an income and CJ's problem will be solved. Welfare Xingwu 799. Chapter 467. Mother Zheng spat. Give her some shares? You make it sound so easy. Don't think that I don't understand just because I'm uneducated. Do you think shares are something that can be given out so casually? If I give it to you, you'll have to give her dividends every year. I'm your biological mother. Why don't you treat me better? Zheng Ling said confidently, Yi Er needs money now. Sharing the money can help her. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you think you can help the Yun family just because you want to? Have you forgotten how the Bureau of Industry, Commerce, Taxation, Fire, and Labor came looking for you half a year ago? I told you that it must be Yunye's bad luck, but you still fought for it. When the time comes, you won't even have porridge to drink. Let's see what you can use to show off. Mom, have you forgotten how I started? I haven't even finished my first year of high school and you can't afford it. Even when I found an 800 yuan job, people complained that I didn't have a diploma. If Yi Er hadn't lent me money back then, we would still be living on welfare. How would we have the money to buy a house and a car? Mom, you can't forget your roots. You can't be ungrateful. Zheng Ling's heartfelt words didn't move Mother Zheng. Instead, her words became sharp. She deliberately looked outside and said in a strong voice, Forget your roots? What roots? Didn't you already return the money to her? It's not like you cheated her of her money. What's more, was money enough to start a photography studio? Your mother woke up early and worked late every day to save money for you. Who cleaned the place in the beginning? Who cooked for your employees? Was it all thanks to her alone? She lent you money because she pitied you. What was 1,000,000 yuan to her in the past? She was just giving alms to beggars. She used to give alms to you. Now that you're capable, you want to give alms to her? She might not even appreciate your kindness. Clang, there was the sound of something falling outside. Mom, stop it. Zheng Ling's expression changed drastically. She quickly walked out of the room and realized that there was no one outside. She turned to her mother and shouted rudely, You've gone too far. Why is it that her kind help is so unbearable in your mouth? You think you're doing well now, but it's all because of your own ability. Let me tell you, even if you're poor and rich, you won't last forever. Yi Er can't be like this for the rest of his life. There will be a day when you need help, just like in the past. You traitor. Mother Zheng was so angry that her face turned pale. She raised her hand and was about to slap Zheng Ling. Yi Er ran out of sprite photography, with shaky steps. She felt an indescribable pain in her heart. It was as if she was surrounded by people on a scorching summer day. She couldn't even take a breath. The air that entered her body was filled with the stench of sweat from those people. She wanted to cover her 7 orifices and isolate herself from the world. Was she the legendary Gui Jianqiu? Every time Mother Zheng saw her, she would smile like a blooming flower. She originally thought that there was still someone who treated her differently. However, Mother Zheng said that she was trying to send a beggar away. Even now she had become a beggar. What was wrong with human nature? Why couldn't she understand it even though she was so realistic? Selfishness was the root, and protecting one's own interests was an instinct? Sad but not crying? Above her head were dense sycamore leaves. The boy's voice was like a mountain spring in summer, dripping into her ears. Her nose was filled with the faint smell of licorice mixed with oil paint. She actually walked here, the art street that was shaded by sycamore trees. People who sold calligraphy and paintings were the most popular. Yi Er turned to look at the boy and smiled. I haven't met anything that can make me so sad that I have to cry. The sunlight that leaked through the gaps of the leaves shone on the boy's head. He stood in front of the drawing board. He was tall and slender, with fair skin and elegant facial features. He was wearing a cotton short-sleeved white shirt and light-colored thin jeans. He was so beautiful that he looked refined. His body was stained with fine paint, but you would think that he was exceptionally clean. What kind of family could raise a boy with such a pair of eyes? They were clear and pure, as if they were not tainted by the mortal world and did not understand filth. It made people jealous. The boy bent over to wash his hands in the bucket. He had a nobility that did not match a poor artist. He spoke slowly, I haven't seen you here in a long time. Yi Er stood on her tiptoes and looked at the work on the boy's drawing board. Yes, I've been busy recently. Have you sold your paintings? The boy turned to pack up the drawing board. I can't meet such a generous customer like you who doesn't know how to appreciate things. Yi Er chuckled. Artists really don't know how to do business. Do you feel bad praising your customer for having good taste? The boy hung the drawing board on his bicycle. But you really don't know how to appreciate things. You can't understand my paintings at all. Yi Er deliberately snorted. But it's fine as long as I have the money to buy them. If I don't understand, I can pretend to understand. I can make others think that I understand. That's fine. It's really a headache for an artist like me to meet a customer who stinks of money like you. Yi Er saw that the boy was packing up the stall. She helped him pour the water out of the bucket and put it into a tool bag. She hung it on the bicycle. Don't worry about it. I don't have the spare money to give you a headache recently. It's fine that you didn't sell your paintings. I wanted to extort a cup of tea from you. Looks like it's over. The boy pedaled the bicycle and held the front of the bicycle. Let's go. I met a nouveau riche who doesn't know how to appreciate things like you yesterday. It's enough to drink tea for a month. Yi Er wrinkled her nose. Then you still have to pay the rent. When you have the money, I'll sell you another one. Then I'll have the money to pay. Yi Er liked to look into the boy's eyes. They were clear and cold. It was so nice. They were talking about such unscrupulous things, but he could talk about it with the grace of an immortal. Yi Er sat behind the boy's bicycle. The wind blew her long hair up, just like her current mood. She smiled and asked him, "Hey, have you ever been in a predicament where you have no way out?" The sun shone on the boy's body. His eyes were overflowing with a gentle halo, but his words were firm and confident. No, because there's always a way out. Even if there's no way out, you can still find a way out. No matter if it's you or someone else, where there's a foot, there's a way out. Yi Er's heart couldn't help but tremble. She quietly closed her eyes. The boy's words were soft but strong. Yi Er returned home from the art street after drinking the worry-relieving tea. She was in a much better mood. She put on powder, put on makeup, chose a small spaghetti strap, and matched it with a half-length dress. This way she wouldn't look so wild. She let her long hair down and pinched a strand from her ears and temples. She pulled her hair back and tied it into a small bun. Her reflection in the mirror made her look ladylike. She didn't know if this dressing was appropriate. There was always a way out. How could there be no way out? What did it matter if it was her own foot or someone else's foot? As long as that path led to the top of the mountain, what did it matter if it was her own foot or someone else's? Yi Er had just changed her clothes when someone knocked on the door. The person who called was Zheng Ling. Zheng Ling's eyes were red and swollen, and there were finger marks on his face. Yi Er took a deep breath and pulled Zheng Ling to sit on the simple sofa. She reached out to touch his face and frowned. "What's wrong?" Zheng Ling was a little embarrassed and smiled stiffly. "I ran too fast on the way to find you and got hit by a tree branch. Seriously, I don't have eyes when I walk." Yi Er's nose twitched. "Did Mother Zheng hit you?" Zheng Ling knew he couldn't hide it and was very angry. "I can't be bothered with her. She's a crazy woman. Anyway, she hit me a lot and always said I was a waste of money. Fortunately, I've been able to earn money these few years, so she treated me better." As she spoke, she took out an agreement from her bag and handed it to Yi Er. "This is the share transfer agreement. I downloaded the simplest one online. We're not a big company, so there's no need to be so complicated. Just sign it and we'll go to the Industry and Commerce Bureau to change it tomorrow." Yi Er pushed the agreement into Zheng Ling's hands. "Ling Ling, there's no need." Zheng Ling was afraid that Yi Er would take things too hard, so he hurriedly signed the agreement and handed it over. "Yi Er, will you be angry with me because of what my mother said? I really don't have such thoughts." Yi Er pinched Zheng Ling's face affectionately. "How can I be angry with you? I'll cherish the friends who are still by my side for the rest of my life. Your mother is your mother and you are you. It's just that I already have a good idea." Zheng Ling was skeptical. "What idea?" "Ling Ling, I want to find a backer. Xiao Jie is likable and Zhou Yan is determined to get custody of him. Your shares can only help me for a while. She will have other ways to mess with people. But if I have a backer that even Zhou Yan is afraid of, then Xiao Jie and I will be able to live peacefully." Zheng Ling's eyes widened. "You're saying you want to find a sugar daddy?" Yi Er smiled nonchalantly. "Sugar daddy? To me, sugar daddy is useless." "Then what is it?" Yi Er thought about it and hesitated. "It might not work now, but regardless of whether it works or not, I have to give it a try. I'm not telling you now for your own good. Don't ask me too much." After the incident with the photo, she didn't dare to drag Zheng Ling into this. Who knew what the outcome would be? Usually, there wouldn't be any guests at Peerless Beauty's party at 5:30 p.m. However, in Zhao Juan's private room, the dice were colliding violently in the dice cup. Zhuang Yichen looked up and the dice cup clanged on the table. He picked up a few dice and threw them at the two men standing opposite him. These two men were the ones who had hit Yi Er with their car, Scarface and Beard. Good for nothing. With a roar, he pursed his thin lips and snorted, I told you not to dirty that place. How dare you act on your own initiative and hit someone with your car? Who gave you the guts? Zhuang Yichen's short hair seemed to have stood up. He stood up and his black shirt made him look even more intimidating. The man whose forehead was bleeding from the hit didn't dare to make a sound. The two of them originally looked fierce, but at this moment they looked humble and timid. Zhuang Yichen was annoyed that he tried to contact Jiang Zhao, but the other party didn't pick up his call. They had a tacit understanding, so he told his men not to do anything in Jiang Zhao's area. In the end, these two men couldn't keep their cool. He didn't expect that Yi Er would provoke Jiang Zhao. Scarface saw the tense atmosphere and mustered up his courage. Boss, where is the person we offended? Let's go and apologize. Zhuang Yichen glared at Scarface. Apologize? Are you worthy? If you dare to act on your own again, I'll cripple you. Get out. The two of them quickly ran out of the private room. Zhuang Yichen didn't expect that he and Jiang Zhao would be at odds over Yi Er. This girl was quite capable. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 468. As time passed, the night went from bright to dark. It was past midnight. When Jiang Zhao returned home, there was something curled up in front of his door. It was a small thing. Her hair was disheveled, and she was hugging her knees as she slept against the door frame. Next to her was a thermos. He squatted down and tilted his head to take a look, but her face was buried and he couldn't see. She had attended a dinner party, so her mind wasn't very clear. He suddenly felt playful. The ghost is here. He purposely made it sound like he was scared and shouted into Yi Er's ear. In his impression, little girls were all afraid of ghosts. However, the girl didn't panic. Instead, a slap flew over and an impatient roar like she was sleep-talking. Get lost. Why are you screaming like a ghost? Can't you let me sleep? After roaring, she continued to dream. Yun Yi. Luckily, he blocked it with one hand. Otherwise, he would have been disfigured by that slap. Yi Er felt that something was wrong when she heard the voice. She immediately looked up. Her sleepiness was gone. She swore that it wasn't intentional. At this moment, she could only pretend to be innocent. When she stood up, she patted her long skirt. Standing there, she was reserved and dignified like a lady from a respectable family. Her pink lips, white and slender neck, elegant chin, and the little spaghetti-strap neckline bloomed with seductive charm. The tight elastic fabric wrapped around the exquisite and delicate curves of a young woman. Jiang Zhao wasn't too happy about being almost hit. What are you doing here? Didn't you go to work last night? I'll go back to work next week. Anyway, I'm just a temporary worker. I made some soup today to thank my benefactor. Yi Er saw Jiang Zhao's hesitant expression and added, Don't worry, I didn't poison it. Jiang Zhao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Did all girls like to watch transmigrations nowadays? Wouldn't it be awkward for her to call him benefactor all day long? He felt so awkward when he heard it. After he opened the door, Yi Er followed him in. He changed his shoes behind Jiang Zhao and placed the thermos on the dining table. Jiang Zhao sat down on the sofa and turned on the air conditioner with a beep. He took off his tie and rolled up his sleeves. Yi Er went to pour a glass of water for Jiang Zhao with ease. When she handed it to him, she bent over and her long hair cascaded down her back. The relaxing elan with the faint fragrance of jasmine rushed into Jiang Zhao's nose unscrupulously. Her silky hair brushed against the back of his hand, tickling his heart. The neckline of the suspender belt was not too low. Even if she bent down, it was impossible for the man sitting in front of her to covet the real content. Jiang Zhao's Adam's apple rolled uncontrollably as he took the cup. Yi Er knelt down beside Jiang Zhao's feet. The man leaned casually on the sofa, and even the corners of his mouth were curled up casually. She couldn't guess what he was thinking. Fortunately, she didn't think of guessing his thoughts. She took out her wallet from her shoulder bag and took out a gold bank card. She held his hand. He paused, but she didn't let go. She put her hand that was holding the gold card in his large hand, and then held his hand tightly with her other hand. Their hands overlapped and it was impossible to tell who was wrapped around who. She was humble and begged in a low voice, "Help me with my brother's matter. I beg you." Jiang Zhao's hand was held by Yi Er just like that. He never knew that she had such a submissive side. He lifted her chin with his empty hand and made her look at him. He looked at her condescendingly. The way she was dressed today really made her look as gentle as water. He stroked her chin with his thumb and said with a faint smile, "Are you trying to bribe me?" No. Yi stammered. She raised her head and looked at the man's handsome face. Her watery eyes were still full of grievance. She said in a low voice, "Zhou Yan wants to fight with me for Xiao Jie's custody. The money in this card is from me selling the house. I've pawned everything. Without a father, I can't live without a brother." The man didn't answer whether he would help or not. Instead, he asked in a low voice, "No?" He pulled the kneeling woman up with his strong arm and let her sit on his lap. His hand reached into her sling. This woman's pretense of being weak was really pitiful. In Jiang Zhao's eyes, Yi's meekness was all an act. He had known her for so long and was already used to it. How many people in this society didn't act? He dealt with many people every day and he also acted a lot. If she wanted to act with him, he would act with her. God knew how much he liked to see her embarrassed every time she couldn't continue acting. It was really a big spice in life and it was full of color, fragrance and taste. He only wanted to tease her, but he found that the softness under his hand made him want to destroy her. It was really a change. Perverted thoughts. What kind of scene would it be if he crushed such a beautiful thing in his hand? Yunyi, you can't blame me this time. You sent yourself to me. Fake and real, it's all an act. I'll act with you. You have to be able to act. You came dressed like this because you want sex, right? His voice was getting slower and slower. Even if he was teasing her, it was starting to become hoarse. How are you going to settle yesterday's debt? Yi blinked her misty eyes. It seemed like there were some watery tears locked in her eyes. She looked pitifully at the man who had a green light in his eyes. She said timidly, "In the future. I won't dare to do it again." The woman lowered her head and buried it in the man's arms. However, the corners of her mouth slowly curled up. It seemed to be too fast, but it was Yi's premeditated kiss. The heat was happening step by step as she expected. Ylang and jasmine essential oil were urging. It was the effect of love. However, Jiang Zhao's self-control was amazing. He drank some wine today. Was she lucky? When the two of them fell back onto the soft cloud silk quilt on the bed that she had slept on before, they felt a different state of mind. Lust rolled and calculation surged. Yi knew that she could no longer turn back. She didn't need to turn back. That memorial arch was long gone. One was willing to give, the other was willing to accept. One was making use of, the other was well aware but still moved forward bravely. Neither of them cared about each other's thoughts. No one was more despicable, no one was more despicable. Between them, it was just a transaction that was neither losing nor owing. Even if they didn't say it out loud, they could still act according to the script. This was a kind of tacit understanding. Jiang Zhao was annoyed by Yi's naivety. Yunyi, is this the quality of a person who costs 300,000 yuan a night? You don't even know how to take the initiative? Yi was not annoyed. She hooked her arms around Feng Yu's neck and said coquettishly, "Mayor, you have sharp foresight. You said that I am priceless. It's because I have not found a buyer. That's why it's hard to do business." Jiang Zhao heard what she said and smiled. His impatience and irritation subsided a little. When their bare skin touched each other, it was the sharp collision of different textures. It was like gunpowder scraping against flint. In the next second there would be a puff, sound, and sparks would fly in all directions. Jiang Zhao's patience and gentleness had surprised Yi. The last time she bit her lips, he did not pity her at all. She could only feel his anger, cruelty, and ruthlessness. So this time his gentle kisses and caresses made her feel flattered. She never knew that this man could be so gentle and serious. Jiang Zhao woke up very early and did not open the curtains. Yi pulled the blanket over her chest and sat up. She looked at Jiang Zhao, who was wearing his tie in front of the mirror. She said softly, "Mayor Jiang, my brother's matter?" At first Jiang Zhao was still in a daze, but when he heard Yi's words he glanced sideways at her and frowned slightly. He snorted unhappily and left without saying anything else. Yi pursed her lips. This man was really... He wasn't like this yesterday. What did she do to provoke him? He seemed to like her to be a little more humble. Since yesterday she had always been meek and submissive. Which of her words wasn't gentle? Which gaze was not delicate? Who was the one who hugged her so hard last night and didn't know how to be satisfied? She still thought that he had a gentle side to him? So, he had thrown away his gentle side the moment he got out of bed. Stinky man. Why was he so arrogant? City Government Office Building. Jiang Zhao returned to his office and took off his suit jacket. He passed it to his secretary Lu Cheng and walked towards his desk. Although the color of the office was dark, the lines were clean and simple. It made the office look young and energetic. This was Jiang Zhao's style. As soon as he sat down, he looked at the pile of files in front of him without raising his head. He pulled open the drawer under his elbow and took out a black fountain pen. He removed the pen cap and held it in his hand, which made his fingers look even more slender and long. "Help me make an appointment with Director Lin from the court tonight," Jiang Zhao said calmly. Lu Qing hung up Jiang Zhao's suit jacket and returned to his office. "Okay, I will do it now." Lu Qing had just left Jiang Zhao's office when he bumped into the youngest daughter of the Provincial Party Committee's secretary, Zheng Tingting. Zheng Tingting had shoulder-length black hair. She had a graceful figure and a beautiful face. She was dressed in a purple dress. She looked beautiful and virtuous. Wherever she went, people would praise her. Secretary Zheng's youngest daughter was a real lady from a prestigious family. But every time Lu Qing saw her, he could not admire her. This woman was not easy to deal with. Boss did not want to offend people, but he had to serve them. "Miss Zheng, you're here," Lu Qing greeted Zheng Tingting with the right amount of warmth. Zheng Tingting was calm. "Hello, Secretary Lu. Where is your boss?" There was an unspoken title for superiors in the government. If there was a bigger stage behind, then that stage would be the big boss. "Boss is busy." "Then please tell him that I want to ask him out for dinner tonight." Zheng Tingting did not know how many times she had been rejected by Jiang Zhao. She could not figure out his character, but she did not want to lose face. Lu Qing smiled. "Miss Zheng, it's not like you don't know. When boss is busy, no one can disturb him. Miss Zheng, if you want me to lose my job, you have to find me a place to eat porridge first." Zheng Tingting laughed. "Then you can be my father's secretary." Lu Qing helplessly said. "Miss Zheng gave me a bowl of porridge. It's too hot. I can't eat it. If I force myself to drink it, I'm afraid my throat will rot." The office door opened. Jiang Zhao stood there. He was tall and slender. He chuckled. "That's great. If Lu Qing can directly become the secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, it will be an honor for our municipal government. I have to call Secretary Zheng and ask him if he asked Miss Zheng to bring the letter." Zheng Tingting didn't mind that Jiang Zhao was deliberately keeping a distance from her. She gently combed her hair beside her ear with her fingers, walked to Jiang Zhao's side and said in a flirtatious voice, "You're so boring. It's just a meal with me. Are you afraid that I'll eat you?" Awesome novel Songshu 566. Chapter 469. Lu Qing felt that this woman was not as dignified as she looked. Look at what she said, how passionate. He wanted to leave tactfully, but his boss's gaze was clearly telling him that if he dared to take even half a step away, he would be killed. Jiang Zhao turned around and went into the office. Lu Qing followed Zheng Tingting in reluctantly but consciously. When Zheng Tingting's eyes flashed, Lu Qing blocked it with his lightning rod. Jiang Zhao walked in front and said to Zheng Tingting, "I'm too old, it's hard to chew. Lu Qing is tender, eat him. It's easy to chew, easy to swallow, and easy to digest." At the mention of this, Jiang Zhao suddenly remembered his conversation with Ye that night. It was roughly the same thing and he couldn't help but smile. Lu Qing automatically went deaf and pretended to help Jiang Zhao look for files in the filing cabinet. Zheng Tingting poured herself a cup of tea. Seeing that Jiang Zhao was sitting on the sofa, she sat down opposite him. The smile on her face was still that of a typical young lady from a prestigious family, but when she started to speak, she softly said, "Jiang Zhao, don't act so high and mighty. It's not up to you to say no to our matters. As long as my father goes to Grandpa Jiang and talks to him, Grandpa Jiang will immediately agree." At this moment, Jiang Zhao laughed. It was a real laugh. He laughed because the women in this society were really interesting. All of them put on makeup like fairies, dressed like ladies and sounded like little wives. But when they turned around, they were demons and ghosts. Actually, Tingting. When Zheng Tingting heard Jiang Zhao call her that, she was instantly elated. Just as she was about to speak, Jiang Zhao frowned, his eyes expressing his concern. "Tingting, I know you're anxious to get married. As your brother, I'm also very worried. There's a dating show on Jiangsu TV that's very popular now, but it's mainly men who choose women. What's similar on Hunan TV? It's women who choose men. How can our Tingting let others choose? You'll definitely be the one to choose." Zheng Tingting stood up from her seat. Her lips were white from anger and her voice was sharp and trembling. Jiang Zhao. Anyway, it wasn't the first time that Zheng Tingting had been driven away by Jiang Zhao. Lu Qing didn't feel guilty at all. His mission was complete and it was time for him to disappear. In the evening, in the private room of a famous chef in Jiangnan, President Lin of the court was pleasantly surprised when he saw Jiang Zhao. The deputy mayor had invited him. This was a big deal. Furthermore, this deputy mayor had a bright future ahead of him. How many families had such strong backing? He remembered that every year during Old Master Qin's birthday, as long as Old Master Jiang came over from Jiang District, the secretary of the provincial party committee would personally arrange for a car to pick him up, for fear that he would be neglected. As for Old Master Qin's strength, he was someone who could shock the entire Sea City with just a cough. Director Lin eagerly pulled out a chair for Jiang Zhao and flattered him for a while. Jiang Zhao's demeanor outside was well known. His superiors and subordinates all felt that he had the demeanor of a great master and did not put on airs. The two of them chatted as they ate. After chatting for nearly half an hour, Jiang Zhao took a sip of hard liquor and clicked his tongue before he slowly said, "I heard that Director Lin and Hu Jinchang's wife, Zhou Yan, were college classmates?" Junimo raised his eyebrows slightly. His eyes turned and they were sharp blades, but there was an unfathomable smile on his face. President Lin, who was chatting with Jiang Zhao, suddenly paused. He was trying to figure out what Jiang Zhao was trying to say. He shouldn't have asked this question for no reason. This should be the main purpose of today's dinner. As a government official, he liked to talk in a bureaucratic manner. Could it be that the first half hour was just to pave the way for this sentence? President Lin couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Director Lin looked at Jiang Zhao, who acted as if nothing had happened. He raised his chopsticks and picked up the vegetables. Everyone said that Jiang Zhao never put on airs and was close to the people and friends. However, the outside world had forgotten to analyze him. Did he, Jiang Zhao, still need to put on airs? Did he need to put on airs? No matter where he sat, his person, his identity, his methods, and the family behind him were all his heirs. Who wouldn't be afraid of him? Some people were like this. You could see that he was amiable and approachable, but in fact, his cold eyebrows could chill your heart. President Lin answered tentatively, "Zhou Yan is indeed my classmate. She has also encountered some trouble recently." Jiang Zhao seemed to be surprised, but he also showed some interest. "Oh? Then President Lin, you have to be careful. Although the court is a place of justice, she is still an old classmate. I can't let an old classmate be wronged." President Lin only felt that the weather in September was really hot. Although the air conditioner was turned on, he was sweating profusely. Jiangnan's famous chef. The outside world only treated it as a mid-range restaurant. But who in the government doesn't know about this? The waiter can always take out another menu and let you order more than 10,000 renminbi. Today, the dishes on this table were ordered by the upstart politician. At that time, President Lin must order some special dishes. How can he let the deputy mayor treat him to this meal? He also cannot lose face. But there were no outsiders around, and the deputy mayor waved his hand. "We have 3 dishes and 1 soup. This is the standard for government officials. My grandfather always said that we should be thrifty and diligent. Every time we come out for a meal, I will always remember his words. I don't dare to forget. I don't dare to forget." Old Master Jiang had already mentioned it. How can he still dare to mention the top-grade chicken wings with 2-head abalone? Since he knew that Zhou Yan was his classmate, how could the mirror of eminence be so high? Could it be that Zhou Yan is fighting with the Yun family for custody rights? Mayor Jiang, you are right. I will definitely take this matter seriously. But no matter if we are classmates or not, we still have to take this matter seriously. Director Lin replied carefully but not without any loopholes. It was a small private room and the table was for 4 people. It was not spacious. Jiang Zhao held an ordinary Luzhou Laojiao crystal clear bottle. His knuckles looked slender and strong. He raised his hand and stretched the bottle towards the wine glass in front of Director Lin. Director Lin was so frightened that he quickly stood up and held the wine glass with both hands. Jiang Zhao also stood up to pour the wine. Director Lin held his wine glass and watched the bejeweled nectar gurgling into his glass. He was in fear and trepidation. He was someone who had experienced so many cases and had long been very experienced and ruthless. However, today made him unable to calm down. Jiang Zhao poured the wine and smiled. He gestured for President Lin to sit down. "President Lin, don't be so polite. You are older than me and you should pour me a glass of wine. But when you stand up, I don't know how to sit down." President Lin took a deep breath. He could feel that the person in front of him had a strong aura, but he could not feel any pressure from his face. "Mayor Jiang, you are too polite. I dare not accept your offer to pour me a glass of wine." Jiang Zhao sat down and said casually, "Ha, what's there to be proud of? We're just having a simple meal today. There's nothing serious to talk about. It's not like we're superior or subordinate. There's only the 2 of us here. Do you still have to show off your selflessness in court?" How can President Lin stand Jiang Zhao's words? A deputy market manager acting like this in front of the president of the court. If it were anyone else, their heart would be beating fast. President Lin did not dare to show his panic. He sighed. Actually, sometimes how can we not want to be biased? But the position is there and we cannot be biased. It is natural to be impartial. Jiang Zhao held a small and exquisite glass cup. He raised it and clinked it with Director Lin's cup. He downed it in one gulp, looking very heroic. Director Lin hurriedly downed it in one gulp, not daring to fall behind. Jiang Zhao comforted him. Yes, I know. Your court also has its own difficulties. This work is also very tiring. Just like what you said at the beginning, everything should be judged reasonably. However, there are some things that are reasonable but not reasonable, and reasonable but not reasonable. How can everyone be satisfied with the result? That's why there is an out-of-court mediation. Who doesn't want to have a peaceful life, right? Jiang Zhao paused for a while and looked at President Lin. The court also does not want to deal with these family matters every day. After all, every family has their own difficulties. President Lin was suddenly enlightened. He finally understood. He was almost 40 years old in the bureaucracy. How could he be so ignorant? Today's meal was clearly a reminder from Jiang Zhao. He couldn't protect Zhou Yan. Not only couldn't he protect her, but he also had to side with the Yun family. So he agreed. Who said no? If the family can handle it, why should we take it to court? Jiang Zhao felt that it was about time. Everyone was smart. How to deal with this matter should be known by President Lin. He began to talk about the recent situation and did not mention anything about the court. Lu Qing drove Jiang Zhao back to the north of the city. It was still early. They did not eat for long. When they got home, he turned on the lights and changed his shoes. Standing at the door, he looked around. It was still so clean. He liked the house to be clean and tidy. He felt that he could lie down anywhere. Lying on the sofa, he closed his mouth and took a deep breath through his nose. His nostrils were empty. There was nothing but the smell of the house. He sat up in annoyance and rudely tore off his tie. He shouted, "Yunyi, get up and get me some water." Didn't the wretched girl say that she would not go to work until next week? She slept so early. She did not even get him a glass of water when he came back. Seeing that there was no sound in the house, he shook off the alcohol in his head, stood up and walked to the master bedroom. He twisted the lock and pushed hard. The door bounced off the magnet on the wall with a dong sound. The bed was very clean. There was no trace of the wretched girl. He searched several rooms. Finally, he walked to the shoe cabinet and opened the cabinet door. He was sure that she was not there. Yi had just finished making her brother Si Jie's bed. Si Jie took a shower and rushed into Yi's room. He jumped onto the bed and pretended to be asleep. Yi heard the noise and ran over to pull Si Jie's blanket. "Get up. Go back to your room and sleep." "No, I want to sleep here. The bed here is comfortable. Why should all the good places belong to you?" "Then let's change rooms." When Si Jie heard Yi's stubbornness, he pulled the blanket a little and revealed his pitiful eyes. "Sis, I don't want to sleep in a different room from you. I'm still so young. I'll be scared of ghosts." Yi mocked, "You'll be scared of ghosts? Even ghosts are scared of you." At this moment, the phone on the bedside table started to sing. Yi walked over and picked up the phone. There were 3 words on the screen: pervert, ad, Songshu 566. Chapter 470. She took the phone and walked back to Si Jie's room. She closed the door and said, "Hello. Where did you go?" "I'm at home." The busy tone on the other end of the phone made Yi feel like she had met a lunatic. Yi returned to her room and looked at Si Jie, who was still lying on her bed and refusing to get up. Originally, Si Jie had his own room in the Yun family. However, after the Yun family incident, Si Jie always had dreams at night and would occasionally sob, even though he looked like a strong adult. Yi was afraid that something would happen to her brother, so she always brought him to sleep with her. When she rented an apartment in this old neighborhood, the rent was cheaper than a bachelor's apartment, so she rented this one. Her brother slept with her, and the other room was basically used to store miscellaneous items. A few days ago, she accidentally saw an article on the internet about the problem of children sleeping independently. The more she read, the more she felt that there was a problem with her taking care of her brother like this. Si Jie was almost 10 years old and he couldn't go on like this. After all, she still wanted boys to be more masculine and not stick to women all the time. "Yin Si Jie, get the hell up. I can't roll up." I can only roll from the left to the right. Si Jie's beautiful little face was exposed outside the blanket. He refused to let go of the blanket and rolled left and right according to her instructions. Yeer's nostrils were fuming. You want to talk nonsense with me? Si Jie snorted. Talking nonsense with you will lower my class. Okay, I'll let you sleep on this bed. I'll sleep in that room from now on. Yeer had no choice but to take out some clothes from the wardrobe and prepare to take them to the other room. No. Si Jie immediately kicked the blanket away and jumped up from the bed. He ran to the head of the bed and jumped up. He hung onto Yeer like a monkey and refused to get down. His bright black eyes stared straight at Yeer as he shouted, Yun Yeer, you dare to abandon me? I won't let you off. Yeer felt that she was the parent. How could she let this little thing shout at her? She couldn't help but raise her voice. You have to learn to be independent. Si Jie was indignant. I'll shower myself and do my own homework. From next week onwards, I don't want you to send me to school, and I don't want you to pick me up from school. I'm very independent. Yeer took out the information he had found and said, You have to be mentally independent. If you do that, you won't be manly in the future. How am I not manly? Half a year ago, Zhou Yin held a banquet at Hongmen. You were so angry that you foolishly paid for the meal. If it weren't for my quick wits, you would have fed Zhou Yin that pile of money. The last time Zhou Yin came over, didn't I hit them with a stool? I'm such an outstanding man, how can I not have a manly spirit? Yeer felt that she was really unlucky in this life. Other than her bad temper, her grades were not good, and her mouth was not very good. Hey Yun Sijie, if I get married in the future, will you still sleep with me? Sijie was still clinging onto Yeer's body. He hugged her neck and rolled his eyes at her. Can you get married? You're as stupid as a pig. You're stupid and have a bad temper. How can there be such an idiot man who clearly knows that you're a hot potato and still accept you? You'd better wait for me to grow up and earn money to support you. Yeer sighed. She hugged Sijie and sat on the edge of the bed. Sijie, then what if you get married in the future? Will you still sleep with your sister? What's the point of getting married? Marry someone like my mother? Husband and wife are birds of the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly away separately. I don't want that kind of trouble. Yeer's heart ached. Their mother was a taboo between them. No one was willing to mention it. However, Sijie's attitude also made her very worried. Then won't the Yun family have no descendants? Sijie looked at Yeer's sad expression and felt that he had gone too far. However, he was unwilling to admit that he was wrong. What are you thinking? Yunyi, I'm only 9 years old. Do you want me to fall in love early? Aren't you afraid that I'll affect my studies? How can you be such an irresponsible parent? How can you instill such an unhealthy concept in your 9-year-old brother? You're not good at studying. Do you want your brother to be like you? Yeer was really defeated. Why did she have to provoke this guy? Hey, when did I? You're still saying that you didn't? In order to abandon me, you already want me to marry a wife. Sijie's eyes turned red as he spoke. Hey, clearly. Yeer was about to faint. Others were fine, but this was her brother. He was about to cry. His eyes were so red that it made her heart melt. What a hateful guy. That's clearly what you're thinking. Sijie harumphed, feeling wronged and fierce. Yun Sijie, you've got guts. Go to sleep. Angrily pressed Si Lu down on the bed and pulled the quilt over him, covering him completely. If she could use violence against him, she would definitely give him a good beating. She was his guardian, but this guy was violating her right to be his guardian. She still needs to compensate him. Sijie's mobile phone rang again, and Yeer slapped the blanket covering Sijie's butt. Behave yourself. Sijie huffed and puffed as he turned around, revealing a triumphant smile. Yeer saw it was a call from Jiang Zhao. She could only go to Sijie's room to answer the call. Hello, Mayor Jiang. Jiang Zhao paused for a while. What are you doing? He had hung up on her, and she did not even call him to ask what was going on. Was this the attitude of someone who was asking for help? Could it be that she knew he had helped her settle this matter and was fearless? Oh, it's time to sleep. Mayor Jiang, you should rest early too. Yeer felt she must be respectful to this man. She could not afford to offend him. Her brother's matter was not settled yet. Jiang Zhao was furious when he heard Yeer's tone. You messed up my house and I can't even find my things. Yeer felt she was wronged. What things? I didn't touch them. That's right. I had asked you not to touch my things. But my things are in a mess now. Don't you know you need to wash the blanket after sleeping on it? Have you washed it? Come down now. Come down? You are downstairs. 1.5 minutes. Yi Er gritted her teeth. This guy was indeed a pervert. When did she touch his things? He was the one who left them in a mess and now he is blaming her? That blanket had just been washed. How can she wash it after sleeping on it? Why didn't he buy some disposable bedding? Anyway, he was rich. But you still have 1 minute and 20 seconds. If not, your brother's matter. Yi Er scolded in her heart. Damn Jiang Zhao, you bastard. But she still called out softly. Sir, please wait for a while. I will come down now. Yi Er did not even change out of her pajamas and slippers. She told Si Jie that she was going to buy a bag of chips and rushed downstairs. Jiang Zhao's private car was parked in an old building, and it did not match the place. This neighborhood was 80 years old and most of the residents were retired. Even if there were young people who were working and renting a house, they would not be able to afford an Audi A8. Yi Er opened Jiang Zhao's car door and sat in it. She was panting and mumbling. So bloody. 1 minute and 20 seconds. Jiang Zhao raised his wrist and looked at his watch. The corners of his mouth curled up into a carefree smile. It's pretty bloody. You came down in just 40 seconds. It seems like you're crazy about seeing me. As he spoke, he started the car. Yi Er scolded in her heart. She saw that Jiang Zhao's actions were not right. She immediately turned the car key in the opposite direction, and the car turned off. She asked anxiously. Hey, where are you taking me? Where are we going? Jiang Zhao frowned. Was this woman pretending to be an idiot in front of him? Where could he be taking her so late at night? Si Jie is still waiting for me at home. We agreed that we would go up after buying a bag of chips. Alright, I really didn't touch anything in your house. I swear. If you can't stand the smell of other people's blankets, you can sleep in the guest room for 2 days. When Si Jie goes to school, I will wash it for you. Yi Er sat on the leather seat and looked at Jiang Zhao. She had just taken a shower, and her body was still emitting the fragrance of a shower. Her long hair was wet and she was wearing a straight cartoon nightgown. She had run in a hurry, so she spoke in a hurry. Her little face was flushed and she looked very cute. At this time she looked like a 19-year-old girl. Her skin was as tender as a freshly peeled lychee, and there was not a single trace of powder on it. Jiang Zhao had an idea. He reached out and pinched Yi Er's face. Then I will send you back later. Yi Er saw the dark green light in Jiang Zhao's eyes. She suddenly understood what he meant. No. Jiang Zhao raised his eyebrows slightly. He said in a neutral tone, You want to negotiate with me? Yi Er knew that Jiang Zhao was angry. Angry? This man was not someone she could offend. Even if she wanted to offend him, she would have to wait until the matter with her little brother was over. Otherwise, she would have wasted the night she slept with him last night. As a result, a certain someone's spine softened and she leaned against Jiang Zhao. She stretched out her slender arm and hooked it around his neck. Her chin rested on his shoulder, and her lips pressed against his ear. She said softly, My lord, my younger brother is only 9 years old. What if he sees that I haven't returned and runs around blindly? What if he gets lost? Jiang Zhao could feel the demonic aura that made him shudder. He leaned closer to the front passenger seat and pinched Yi-Er's chin with his big hand. His fingers, which were slightly cold in the summer, rubbed Yi-Er's soft lips. He said in a low voice, Then go and tell him that a friend is looking for him. He has something to tell me. The kiss was more beautiful than she had imagined. It was also more terrifying than she had imagined. Her breathing was rapid, and her heart was beating wildly. The man's hug was unbearable and passionate. However, other than instinct, there was no other emotion. Yi Er allowed Jiang Zhao to kiss her for a long time before pushing him away. She begged, Monday, okay? I'll go over to accompany you after work. My little brother is still young. He'll be scared if he doesn't see me. Other than this, I'll promise you anything. She did not dare to think that Jiang Zhao would agree. However, at this moment, Jiang Zhao unexpectedly let go of her. Jiang Zhao adjusted his breathing and took a golden card from the dashboard. He held it between 2 fingers and handed it to Yi Er. Take this back. Jiang Zhao placed the card in Yi Er's palm. The righteous expression on his face disappeared. He leaned forward and bit Yi Er's ear. His slender fingers hooked open the round collar of Yi Er's pajamas, allowing some light to enter his lowered gaze. The man chuckled. Don't you think your body is more valuable? Attention Hongcha 866. Chapter 471. Don't you think that your body is more valuable? You can go there on Monday. Yi Er had finally made up her mind. She was a prostitute. She had wanted to sell herself to Min Zikai, but Min Zikai's mother appeared out of nowhere. After that, she chose a good-looking and powerful buyer. Before her brother's matter was settled, she had to follow the buyer's orders. She had no other choice. She was lucky that the buyer had taken a liking to her. Other than Jiang Zhao, no one else would dare to take over her business. Thank you for your kind words, Mayor. I will keep it then. Yi Er showed a bright smile and rubbed the card between her hands. She looked like she was rubbing her hands in the middle of winter to keep warm. On Saturday, Yi Er brought Si Jie to see her father in prison. Both of them told each other that they were doing well and did not need to worry. After sending Si Jie to school on Monday, Yi Er went to Wutong Street. No matter how hot it was outside, this street was always cool. Those century-old Wutong trees had deep roots and could cover the sky. No matter how strong the sun was, it could still isolate the trees from this street. Therefore, those artists could use a comfortable posture to dip in ink and paint. Stood beside the boy and watched him earn money through art without saying a word. A sketch cost 30 renminbi, a coloring cost 30 renminbi, and an oil painting cost 300 renminbi. The boy's skin was fair, and his hair was not permed or dyed like other children his age. His hairstyle was simple and clean. His fringe was blown by the wind and covered half of his straight eyebrows. He was focused on painting and dipping the paint. He looked very beautiful. After the buyer left, Yi Er started to joke with the boy. Hey, not bad. You must be a household worth 10,000 renminbi now. The boy replied indifferently. It's not like there are people painting oil paintings every day. Yi Er felt bored and asked, what is art? The boy lowered his head and kept the paint. Then what do you think art is? Yi Er looked at the glaring sunlight outside the tree. I think beautiful things are art. The boy casually asked. Like you? Yi Er tilted his head and looked at the boy. Am I beautiful? The boy put down the paint in his hands and looked at Yi Er with a smile. That smile was as clean as the spring breeze that blew through the peach blossoms and white apricots, making one's heart flutter. Not beautiful. Yi Er couldn't help but feel disappointed. Yeah, I also feel that. I'm not beautiful. She didn't deserve to be associated with the word beautiful. Only those with pure hearts had the right to be beautiful. For example, this boy would never say anything that went against his heart. If he felt bad, he would say no. If he felt good, he would say yes. He was beautiful and clean. He didn't need to look at anyone's face to live his life. He didn't need to rely on anyone. He was unrestrained. If nothing had happened to the Yun family, she would have been like this as well. Doing what she liked to do and learning what she was interested in, she suddenly felt that she was thinking too much. Shaking her head, she reached out and patted the boy's shoulder. Hey, do you know anyone on this street who is good at drawing human figures? The more reliable one, the kind that can make ugly things look beautiful. The smile on the boy's face suddenly disappeared. He looked at Yi Er with a startled expression and a hint of panic. Ah. Yi Er retreated to the foot of the wall by the street. The boy's bicycle was there. She lifted her butt and sat on the back seat. Swinging her legs, she looked into the boy's eyes and puffed up her cheeks. I'm almost 19 years old. I want to draw a more artistic human figure as a memento. It would be best if you could draw me prettier. The boy only felt that he was a little silly. He was scared silly by this girl in front of him. What did she say she wanted to do? Draw a human figure? Let someone draw a human figure for her? Doesn't your school often hire human figures? Isn't it art? The boy's head felt as if it had been hit by something. He could no longer distinguish what he was hearing. You want to be a human figure? Why are you so loud? Yi Er raised her hand to her lips and made a shushing motion. Be quiet. Otherwise people will look over. The boy snorted and turned his head away from Yi Er. You actually want to be a human figure? Yi Er jumped down from the bicycle. What's wrong? Even if I want to be a human figure, isn't that also a sacrifice for art? Don't you artists also say that the human figure is the most beautiful art? Besides, she had never thought of being a human figure. She just wanted to leave a memento for herself. How did it get to the point where she wanted to be a human figure? Yi Er walked forward and happened to see stars when the boy suddenly turned his head and knocked it against her head. She held her forehead and complained, What are you doing? You have such a bad temper. You really want to be a human figure? How can you be so depraved? Yi Er rubbed her forehead and looked at the boy who was angry for no reason. Depraved? Then all the naked bodies that your school draws are depraved? That's different. How is it different? Aren't they all art? You don't look like art. You're not suitable. Ye saw that the boy was shouting at her with a red face. It turned out that such a good-tempered boy couldn't stand her vulgarity. She couldn't help but feel lonely inside. Am I that bad? If I'm not beautiful, then I can't even be drawn beautifully? The afternoon sun was scorching. It shone through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the five-star hotel and lingered there. The girl looked at the sunlight on the ground. Her eyelashes were curled up like little brushes with gold powder. Her long yellow hair was brushed to the left, revealing the perfect side of her face. Her arms were bent and propped up on the European-style sofa. Her fair and tender arms were in front of her chest, but they revealed a little of her alluring bosom. Her smooth back and waist were curved upwards. The curve was very seductive. Her perky buttocks were covered with a thin veil that made one's heart clench and want to tear it off. The room was so quiet that one could almost hear the sound of an hourglass. The boy stood 2 meters away from the sofa. In front of him was a drawing board. From time to time he would look up at the model on the sofa. Then he would start drawing. His movements were smooth, focused, and elegant. The girl on the paper not only had a beautiful face and a seductive figure, but her pair of feet that were kicking backward made her look playful and cute. Ye didn't feel the slightest pressure because her artist's eyes were too clean. You couldn't see anything other than paint in his eyes. She didn't expect that the boy would help her draw because she always felt that they weren't from the same world. She was dirty and filthy, but he was pure and flawless. If she let him draw her, she was afraid that he would be dirty. But she was afraid that she would become dirtier and dirtier in the future. Before she was completely dirty, she wanted to leave something for herself to remember. Who wouldn't want to keep something that was still considered beautiful? Time didn't stop ticking, but what was done would come to an end. Ye put on her clothes and looked at the drawing that was still clipped to the drawing board. She reached out to touch it. The boy grabbed her hand and flung it away. You haven't done anything yet. What are you touching? Then what should I do? How can I take it away? The boy didn't look at the drawing or Ye. He put away the paintbrush and paint and put them into a tool bag. Take it away? You can take it when it's dry and I'll frame it. Okay then. I'll go to Wudong Street to look for you in a few days. The boy kept his head down and busied himself with his work. Okay. You can go first. I'll wait for this drawing to dry before I leave. Otherwise it'll be a waste of time. Then I'll have to trouble you. Ye felt a little guilty. She felt that she had taken advantage of the boy because she had known him for a long time. When I get the drawing, I'll return the hard-earned money for the hotel room. No need. I'll put it in the drawing. Why aren't you leaving? Okay. When the boy heard the door close, he raised his head and looked at the tightly shut door. Suddenly, he slumped to the ground and laid down on the thick and soft carpet. His dark eyelashes drooped over his eyes, blocking all the emotions in his eyes as he breathed heavily. He covered his chest with his hand and frowned. His heart was thumping non-stop. The frantic rhythm of his heart was unfamiliar to him. It was as if the sound in his ears was coming from someone else's chest. City Government Office Building. In the Deputy Mayor's office, Secretary Lu Cheng was reviewing Jiang Zhao's schedule. When he heard someone knocking on the door, he wanted to go and take a look. But this person seemed to be very influential. He directly locked the door and entered the office. When he saw Qin Fian, Lu Cheng smiled helplessly. Nice to meet you, Chairman Qin. Qin Fian and Lu Cheng were quite close. How many times have I told you? Don't call me Chairman Qin. Call me Fian, Young Master Yen, Chairman Qin, or even Boss Qin. Don't call me Chairman Qin. Lu Cheng shrugged his shoulders. It's all the same. After that, he went to pour a cup of tea for Qin Fian and left the office. Qin Fian took off his suit and turned to hang it on the coat rack. He had an innocent smile on his face. Brother, look at what Lu Cheng said. How can it be the same? I'm so single-minded. I'm not a romantic. Jiang Zhao couldn't help but stop writing. He looked at Qin Fian and placed his elbows on the desk. Fian, when are you going to bring your lover to me? Qin Fian walked to Jiang Zhao's desk and sat down. After all, my sacred love is still not mainstream. For the sake of my future, I think it's better to have an underground relationship. Jiang Zhao stood up, bent over and slapped Qin Fian's butt. I think it's better to put my butt on the chair in front of you. Qin Fian stood up, turned around and sat on the chair. He sighed. You only know how to bully the good people. Really? Jiang Zhao couldn't be bothered with him. He continued to flip through the files seriously. What are you doing here? Brother, what are you arguing about with Yichen? It's nothing. Qin Fian was a sly fox. When he heard Zhuang Yichen nodding but didn't hear the end of it, he felt uncomfortable. Hence he started to talk nonsense. Is it necessary to do this for a woman? Jiang Zhao raised his head and looked into Qin Fian's eyes. He lowered his head again. What nonsense are you talking about? Qin Fian's intuition told him that there was something going on. He acted as if he was trying to mediate the fight. Actually, it's not necessary. It's just a woman. Brother, we're brothers. You're hurting our friendship over a woman. Attention Hongcha 866. Chapter 472. Jiang Zhao said, "It's not about the woman." Qin Fian was at his wits' end. Was it that difficult to get information out of him? Brother, you're older than Yi Chen. Why don't you just let him have his way? Jiang Zhao licked his lips. It's not about the woman. It's about who is in charge. Qin Fian dared to conclude that it was for a woman, but he didn't know why. He was so anxious that his heart was scratching like a cat, but he didn't dare to speak too confidently, for fear that he would miss out on a word or two. Jiang Zhao didn't know what Qin Fian was thinking. He asked, "Are you very free?" "I miss you," Qin Fian said casually. Jiang Zhao put the signed documents in front of him into a craft paper folder. He wrapped the folder with a white cotton thread and put it on his left hand. "Oh, you know that I like women." Qin Fian pursed his lips. "Even if you like men, I don't want to be incestuous. My taste isn't that heavy." Jiang Zhao picked up a folder on his right hand and took out the documents. He glanced at Qin Fian. "Your taste is so light. You have the lightest taste in our family." "That goes without saying. I don't even put salt in my food." Jiang Zhao couldn't help but laugh. In Haiqing, only Qin Fian dared to say that he was gay. He never felt that he was embarrassing his grandfather. "Yes, not only do you not put salt, but you also don't use fire. You just eat it raw." "Miss Tseng, you're here?" Jiang Zhao and Qin Fian heard Lu Cheng's voice outside the door and stopped talking. Qin Fian winked at Jiang Zhao. "Actually, Tseng Tingting is quite nice. You can try." Qin Fian shook his head and shrugged his shoulders to show that he couldn't accept it. "You know that I'm very loyal." Tseng Tingting was caught eavesdropping at the door by Lu Cheng. At this time, how could she care about being polite? The only thing on his mind was Qin Fian's question to Jiang Zhao, and the reason he was at odds with Zhuang Yichen was because of a woman. Woman? Didn't the Ouyang Yen dump him long ago? This hurt Tseng Tingting's self-esteem too much. All these years she had treated Jiang Zhao as Tang Seng, but where did this woman come from? It was Tseng Tingting's first time entering the house. She used the same imposing manner as when she went out in the past. She was arrogant. Lu Qing knew that Qin Fian was there, so he didn't need to be in the way. He immediately closed the door and didn't dare to let strangers near the office. Tseng Tingting walked up to Jiang Zhao's desk and banged on it. She craned her neck and said, "Jiang Zhao. In life you belong to me, Tseng Tingting, and in death you belong to me. My father has already acquiesced to us being together. If you dare to fool around outside, I'll turn you into a eunuch." Jiang Zhao acted as if he didn't hear her at all. He said to Qin Fian, "Fian, didn't you miss me? Where are you going tonight?" Qin Fian pushed up the refined frame glasses on his nose and frowned. His devilish face looked miserable as he said, "Bro, you've broken my moral integrity to the point where I can't even pick it up. I still need a good reputation. Actually, I've never had any thoughts of incest." Tseng Tingting was about to go crazy from being ignored. She grabbed the pen holder on the table and was about to throw it at Jiang Zhao when Qin Fian's soul-stirring phoenix eyes suddenly lit up. He shouted, "Oh my God! I finally understand why there are more and more gays. It's because women are tigers." Tseng Tingting slammed the pen holder on the table. She glared at Jiang Zhao with her black eyes. She lifted her chin and her neck tensed up. "Jiang Zhao, don't blame me for not reminding you. If I find out which woman it is, I'll kill her." After Tseng Tingting left, Qin Fian patted his chest. "She's too fierce. She doesn't look like a woman at all. Luckily I like men." Jiang Zhao said, "Your boyfriend might become like that one day." Qin Fian was cold outside, but he smiled mischievously after closing the door. He said, "Bro, my boyfriend is very understanding." Then he paused. "Alright, that woman of yours?" He wanted to ask what she did, how old she was, and which family she was from. But he was afraid that if he asked, Jiang Zhao would think that he didn't know anything, so he didn't say anything. "Very ordinary." Qin Fian got up and leaned on the table. He lowered his head to look at Jiang Zhao's eyes. "Bro, so you don't like Sister Yen anymore?" Jiang Zhao said calmly, "It seems that you're really free. You're definitely not interested in studying the direction of the second subway line. Qin Fian immediately stood up and turned around. He went to the coat rack to take his suit. I'll go first. Bro, you're my brother. Jiang Zhao shook his head and chuckled. At night, Yi Er went to work at Peerless Beauty. She returned to her previous state of keeping a low profile. But she was mentally ill. She was afraid of delivering wine to Zhao Jun, and didn't dare to step in. But her mother, Manager Wang, who was covered in knives, insisted that she go. She wore a waiter's uniform. According to the rules, she delivered the wine to the door and rang the bell to ask the princess to come out and get the wine. But the princess wanted her to deliver it personally. The reason was that someone was looking for her. Who? The princess looked around and whispered, Second young Master Zhuang. Yi Er only felt that 2 of her 3 souls and 7 spirits were missing. She was not far from death. Well, our workroom is very busy right now. My dear princess, please help to deliver the wine. Of course, the result didn't change because of the pleading. Yi Er handed the wine to the princess in fear and entered the private room. Zhuang Yichen sat there calmly. His imposing manner made Yi Er panic. He raised his hand and waved at Yi Er. Yi Er was so scared that her legs trembled. Yi Er prepared for the worst. She didn't know what Zhuang Yichen would do to her, but she had to smile hypocritically. She was not the kind of young lady who would throw a tantrum easily and throw a wine bottle at a guest. She would slap him if he touched her and she would fight him if he kissed her. She would brag if she did not come. If you dare to touch me, I will die in front of you. Forget it. If she really thought of herself as so noble, why would she come to this kind of place? Moreover, she wasn't even afraid of death. Why would she be afraid of living shamelessly? In this private room, there was only Zhuang Yichen and the princess. He didn't even call her Miss. Yi Er dared to conclude that Zhao Jun was the base of Jiang Zhao's group. It was just that she didn't have the chance to deliver the wine before. Young Master Chen. Yi Er stood still, bowed politely and called out timidly. Sit. Zhuang Yichen said coldly. Yi Er didn't dare to sit. After all, the lighting in the private room wasn't very good. Although she wasn't noble, she was still afraid of being violated by men. Go and get yourself a leather stool. Immediately turned around and asked the princess for a short, cylindrical leather stool. She carried it over and sat down across from Zhuang Yichen at the marble table. Zhuang Yichen leaned back and his broad shoulders sank into the sofa. He spoke first. What's your relationship with Mayor Jiang? Yi Er pretended to be dumb. It's not smart to pretend to be dumb. I have nothing to do with him. Zhuang Yichen sneered, then Mayor Jiang is really kind. Yi Er was afraid that she had said something wrong and continued Zhuang Yichen's words. She pretended to be emotional. Mayor Jiang is really working hard for the country and the people? Zhuang Yichen sneered, Miss from Yun University, aren't you afraid of meeting someone you know here? Yi Er didn't mind. If I meet them, I will definitely ask them to come over and take care of business. Young acquaintances will not come to such a private nightclub. Even if they meet uncles, they will not talk about it. They are afraid that she will spread rumors. You are quite open-minded. It's okay. It's just survival of the fittest. Zhuang Yichen chatted with Yi Er casually and texted at the same time. He also didn't ask Yi Er to leave. Yi Er kept looking at the princess bar counter near the entrance. Luckily there were still people around. If she was killed, there would be witnesses. Suddenly, the private room's elevator doors opened. Ding. With a sound, the door of the sedan opened. Jiang Zhao's handsome face was gloomy, and there was a kind of travel-worn smell. When he walked towards them, he put on an expressionless face. Yichen, you are free. Jiang Zhao said and glanced at Yi Er, who was sitting on the leather stool. Yi Er facepalmed. Of course I am not as busy as Brother Zhao. Zhuang Yichen stood up and gave Jiang Zhao a friendly fist bump. Yi's heart was beating like a drum when she heard these 2 people talking like there was a needle hidden in cotton. Jiang Zhao sat down beside Zhuang Yichen and looked at Yi Er coldly. Why are you sitting here? Do you want to eavesdrop on our conversation? Yi Er was so excited that his heart almost jumped out of his chest. He stood up immediately. Then I shall not disturb you. Young Master Chen, Mayor Jiang, please take your time. Then he ran away. Zhuang Yichen looked at the door of the private room after the girl ran out and closed it. He poured a glass of wine for Jiang Zhao and smiled. Brother Zhao, why are you in such a hurry? I told you that I only want her to have a drink here. You still don't believe me? Jiang Zhao's expression was unreadable. He tapped the side of the wine glass, indicating that it was enough. You're thinking too much. Zhuang Yichen stared at the leather stool had sat on and did not say anything for a long time. He leisurely swirled the crystal cup in his hand. The amber liquid inside sparkled under the dim light. After a while he tilted his head to look at Jiang Zhao. His brows relaxed, but he could not hide the seriousness in them. He slowly said, "Brother Zhao, I want to play a game of chess with you." Jiang Zhao looked at Zhuang Yichen and narrowed his eyes. He frowned when he saw the smile on Zhuang Yichen's face. Zhuang Yichen asked the princess to leave the private room. He knew that Jiang Zhao had always been conservative with his words and would not leave any room for gossip. He would not casually make a promise to express his attitude. He only needed to start and see if Jiang Zhao was interested. "You know the reason why no one dares to not touch Yun Hongwei's case. He is just a scapegoat," Jiang Zhao nodded. "Yes, the government is like a magnetic field. It's the same principle as the business world. It has its own balance. When it comes to scapegoats, there's only the beginning and not the end. Yun Hongwei is involved in this more or less because of himself. He is on the wrong team. The magnetic field needs to be reshuffled. It is reasonable for him to be the first to be involved." "Yes, that makes sense." Zhuang Yichen bent down and reached out to pick up an exquisite steel cigarette case with a dragon totem on the marble table. With a little pressure from his fingers, the lid of the case opened. There was only one cigarette inside. He closed the lid and threw it on the table. He sat up straight and held the crystal glass but did not touch it. "No one dares to touch Yun Hongwei's case, but we don't know who the big boss is. Brother Zhao, don't you know? Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 473. Zhuang Yichen's tone had always been unhurried. Whether it was him or Jiang Zhao, they were used to this way of speaking. They were able to express their intentions, stabilize their aura, and not let others steal their true thoughts. They left room for leeway and could also test others. Jiang Zhao's sudden anxiety when he first stepped out of the elevator disappeared without a trace. At this moment, there was only a steady and restrained calmness. He leaned forward and opened the exquisite cigarette box. He held the cigarette in the corner of his mouth and took out a lighter. With a ding he flicked open the lid. With a click, the bright orange flame wrapped in a faint blue core appeared in front of him. The flame was extinguished with a crackling sound. The smoke coming out of his mouth was accompanied by a soft sigh. "Yichen, we've been brothers for 15 years, right? It started when Mom and I transferred to High City." A trace of warmth appeared on Zhuang Yichen's face, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. There are some things that you should let go of. Eager for quick success and instant benefits can sometimes lead to a complete loss. The gains don't make up for the losses." "Brother Zhao, do you really know the big boss behind the scenes? Is it someone from the provincial party committee? What if I'm talking about a boss even higher up?" Zhuang Yichen shook his head and gritted his teeth. "Impossible. Zhuang Jingren can't have such great power." Jiang Zhao took another puff of his cigarette. The light from the cigarette but looked brighter than the lights in the room. He frowned and pressed the cigarette into the heavy crystal ashtray. "No matter what, Zhuang Jingren is still your father. You're now ranked at the top of the invisible rich list. They don't know your true strength at all. Isn't that enough?" "It'll never be enough until I see the entire Zhuang family die," Zhuang Yichen said lightly as if he was talking about something unrelated. "Yichen, your surname is also Zhuang. My surname is Zhuang after my mother's." The conversation reached a bottleneck that they always encountered. Zhuang Yichen raised his head and drank the wine in his hand, leaving not a drop behind. He casually threw the glass away, and it landed steadily on the table. It only shook a few times before falling flat. Zhuang Yichen casually but heavily leaned on the sofa. His voice lowered as he said slowly, "If I say that I want to intervene in Yun Hongwei's case, what do you think, Brother Zhao? Have you heard of something recently?" Jiang Zhao did not answer Zhuang Yichen directly. He did not want to continue this topic. The tacit understanding between Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen was based on their 15 years of friendship. They made use of each other, but they also treated each other with sincerity. It sounded paradoxical, but there was nothing wrong. "There's no way you don't know about the rise of a new family in Sea City." Zhuang Yichen's interest was suddenly piqued. "You mean the Shi family in the south?" "Yes, Haiqing started out 2 years ago. At first, they did import and export business, then they moved into hotels and real estate. This year they acquired a game software company with potential. They're developing at an astonishing speed." Zhuang Yichen wasn't surprised. He already knew. A new family that can establish themselves in Haicheng in 2 years and expand their business to such a large extent must have a lot of money. Otherwise they're also from the Red Sect. Jiang Zhao shook his head. Not too much. But I can't find any information about them. You want me to help you investigate? Jiang Zhao said, I want to know the background of these powerful families. It's not convenient for my dad to use the military's resources to investigate some things. You've always known the bottom line. Haicheng needs to be a big cake for my political achievements to come out quickly. Zhuang Yichen laughed out loud. You still have the nerve to say that I'm eager for quick success? We're just the same. Besides, you're trying to pull people in to steal the cake from me. Why should I help you investigate? Jiang Zhao smiled faintly. There's no such thing as an eternal enemy. Enemies can work together. Plus, from what I see, you might end up eating them. You've always had the ability to do that. Zhuang Yichen raised his eyebrows. You sound so confident. Aren't you afraid that I'll eat you one day? Jiang Zhao didn't seem to care, but his tone was confident. You'll never eat your own food and let it rot. Zhuang Yichen laughed out loud again. When Yi Er was about to get off work, she received a message from Jiang Zhao telling her not to see him for the time being. Yi Er couldn't wait to see him. Whenever she saw that crazy iron plate, she had to pretend to be a grandson, a demure lady, and a pitiful one. She didn't even get nominated for an Oscar, Golden Horse, Golden Rooster, or Golden Eagle awards. She still had to work hard to act. The next time she participated in China's Best Acting, I'm an Actress, she would definitely become famous. Yi Er returned home. Early the next morning, Zhou Yin came looking for her and had a big fight. Not only did this ruckus not affect Yi's mood, but it also gave her an indescribable sense of joy. She finally understood the beauty of power. Previously, she only felt the darkness and filth of power. Power made her run into a wall everywhere. She had to beg for help, learn to live by people's expressions, and be cautious. In the past year, she only felt that power was like a demon's hand choking her neck. She didn't die, but she couldn't breathe properly. In the face of power, she knew that there were things in this world that were more unfair and filthy than money. Money could buy a lot of things, but sometimes, no amount of money could buy an unspoken rule under the balance of power. For example, her father. The more Zhou Yan's face was red, the more she felt that the sky was blue. Zhou Yan's face was full of disdain. Yunyi, whose bed did you climb into this time? Yi Er wasn't stupid enough to mention Jiang Zhao. Do you think everyone is like you? Climbing into the driver's bed? Don't blame me for not reminding you. The next time you come here to cause trouble, my mouth won't be shut because of our blood relationship. Shao Jie belongs to me. That's justice. Zhou Yin felt guilty, but she didn't want to be at a disadvantage. Nonsense. The president of the court is my university classmate. He changed his mind at the last minute. Yunyi, I didn't expect you to be so cheap now. She knew that this matter wasn't so simple. Not only was Director Lin her classmate, but the Yuan family had also given her a lot of benefits. Now all the money had been refunded. If Yunyi didn't have someone above her, how could such a big change have happened? Yi smiled sourly. Oh, Mrs. Yuan, you're the wife of a wealthy family after all. You should pay attention to your manners when you speak. It's okay for me to swear a little, but for someone of your status, the stock price of the Yuan Corporation will fall if you say it out loud. After Yi Er finished speaking, he threw Zhou Yin away rudely. She almost fell flat on her face. With a bang, the door slammed shut. Zhou Yin was locked outside. No matter how much she slammed the door and cursed, Yi Er ignored her. Ever since Yi Er found out that her brother's matter had been resolved, she was relieved. She knew that she couldn't mention her father in front of Jiang Zhao. Since her brother's matter had been resolved, she didn't need to care about him anymore. Therefore Yi Er, who was still sleeping in on Wednesday, immediately hung up after receiving Jiang Zhao's call. At night, when she went to work, she received a text message from Jiang Zhao. The content was for her to go to the apartment in the north of the city after work. She deleted it immediately. Bah! Despicable. She had nothing to ask of him now. She could totally turn her back on him. After work, she went home at 2:30 a.m. and took a shower. Jiang Zhao's life had been smooth sailing. Even if someone wanted to fight with him, they didn't dare to do it openly. It had always been others who tried to curry favor with him. Because of his family background and his political achievements, the government naturally flourished. With such a smooth life, how could he tolerate Yi Er's malicious neglect? Therefore, when Yi Er came out of the shower and picked up an unfamiliar call, she only heard the man's cold voice. Get down here immediately. 40 seconds. Otherwise, within 2 days, Yun Sijia will change his surname to Yuan. Ye felt cold from head to toe. How could she be so stupid? This matter was orchestrated by Jiang Zhao. It was easy for him to change his mind. How did she get carried away by joy at that time? This time Yi was wrapped in a bath towel. She pulled open Jiang Zhao's car door and got in. Jiang Zhao raised his wrist to look at his watch. The lines on his handsome face seemed particularly stiff under the restless anger. He coldly mocked, "You've improved? 37 seconds. It seems like you want to see me even more than last time." Yi didn't care about Jiang Zhao's expression. She just wanted to act coquettishly and put her arms around his neck. "Lord, of course I want to see you. You're so handsome, confident and wise, Jiang Zhao." "Oh?" He slowly pushed Yi away and glanced at her. Last time she took a shower and wore pajamas. This time she ran out of the bathroom directly, right? This woman really needs to be taught a lesson. If I don't teach her a lesson, she will never know what is bitter and what is sweet. Such a handsome, confident and wise man called you. How would you react? Yi laughed awkwardly and pretended to be excited. "Yeah, of course I would be flattered." Jiang Zhao asked again, "Then what about texting you?" "Of course I would be ecstatic." Jiang Zhao sneered. "So, being flattered means hanging up the phone. Being ecstatic means turning a blind eye?" Yi felt that she was not far from death. She immediately denied it. How could it be? Jiang Zhao didn't say anything and started the car. Yi then realized that she was only wrapped in a bath towel. She quickly pulled his sleeve and shook it. "Mayor, can you let me go home and get some clothes?" Jiang Zhao snorted and smiled. "It's very late. Time is money. Why should I waste money for you?" Yi's flattering smile froze on her face. She thought that this guy must have eaten poisonous snakes since he was a child. Otherwise, how could he speak so viciously? Yi pointed at the bath towel on her body and said embarrassedly, "Isn't this an eyesore?" Jiang Zhao put his hand on Yi's thigh and pinched it hard. His eyes were fixed on the road ahead, and a wicked smile hung on the corner of his mouth. "Don't you know that I like to see you without even a towel around yourself? This bath towel is really an eyesore." Yi took a deep breath. She was really defeated by him. She was originally tall. She was afraid that the car would be seen when driving out of the community, so she slid down. She hated herself for being so immature. Why couldn't she offend anyone? So, is this the consequence of biting the hand that feeds you? In ancient times, women dared to marry men easily. Why did she have to calculate it so clearly? Now, she was not afraid of what he would do to her when she went to the apartment in the north of the city. Anyway, it was not the first time. At most, it would be the same old tricks. She was worried about how she would come back tomorrow. Would she take a taxi out of the community wrapped in a bath towel? Why was Jiang Zhao so stubborn? Was he not afraid that she would go out and say that they were in a relationship? The more she thought about it, the more scared she felt. How strong was his heart? She was now the daughter of an economic criminal. Wasn't his stance a little too cold and indifferent? Awesome novel Xinwu 799. Chapter 474. Mayor, don't you think it will be bad for you if we are caught like this? Jiang Zhao replied casually. Huh? You want to report to the police? I don't dare to do that. I'm not that stupid. Yi felt she was not interested in talking to Dong Xuebing about these useless things. She should be more concerned about the things in front of her. Then I don't have any clothes. Will you send me back? Jiang Zhao turned and looked at Yi. Suddenly, he changed his cold expression and smiled gently. I had wanted to send you back. But it's late now. I need to rest. Yi quickly gave in and said, It's okay. You can sleep until you wake up. Jiang Zhao continued to look at the road while driving. He still has a gentle smile on his face and his voice was filled with love. But my Xiao Bao Bei, there are many people in the morning. If you get into my car like this, you will be an eyesore. When Yi heard Jiang Zhao calling her Xiao Bao Bei, she almost vomited yesterday's dinner. But when she heard what Dong Xuebing said, she only wanted to find a big basin and vomit blood. This fellow looks like he is going to be soft-hearted. She thought he was going to be a gentleman. But in the end he was still taking revenge on her. She was thinking about what Jiang Zhao would do. When they first met, she tried to threaten him. This will not work. If this fellow could threaten her, she would not be raped by him. When they met at the nightclub, they were at loggerheads. This will not work either. If he could threaten her, she would not be forced to drink vodka. When they met the robbers on the streets, she would pester him and act cute. When she went to his place to seduce him and beg for his help? Oh my God, does he really like that kind of woman? That kind of woman who does not have any thorns? Are you kidding me? Mayor Jiang, you are too tasteless. You should at least have a better taste. For example, a woman with a better personality. That way I will not have to act so hard. The car was parked in the garage. Yi took the keys and went upstairs first. Jiang Zhao slowly followed behind. As soon as he entered, Yi, who was wearing Jiang Zhao's pajamas, placed the shoes in front of him. Yi was tall to begin with. When she wore Jiang Zhao's pajamas, it could be used as a short dress. It was just right. When she looked at Jiang Zhao, she smiled brightly and said in a coquettish voice, "Ah Zhao, shall I cook something for you? It's already so late. You must be hungry. I'm already boiling water. I'll cook some noodles for you." Without giving Jiang Zhao a chance to refuse, Yi dashed into the kitchen at the speed of a 100-meter dash. Jiang Zhao was 100% sure that the areas covered by his shirt were already covered with countless goosebumps, and they were even spreading to other areas beyond his neck. The goosebumps had already risen to his throat, and he wanted to quickly find a corner to shake off this mushy, bloody, and scalp-numbing thing. It was 2F*King disgusting. Yi did not care if Jiang Zhao was disgusting or not. She ran to the kitchen and almost vomited. She pretended to slap herself. Zhao? She wanted to take a pair of scissors and cut her tongue. How could she call him that? It was too disgusting. When an arrogant man was angry because someone had crossed his bottom line and was waiting for an opportunity to take revenge, he met a thick-skinned woman who only knows how to act cute and coquettishly. What kind of scene would this be? Jiang Zhao finally got rid of the goosebumps. But he stood at the same spot and did not know what to do. No one had taught him how to deal with this kind of woman. If she dares to threaten him, he will trample her to death. If she dares to talk back to him, he will crush her to death. If she dares to fly her claws around like Tseng Tingting, he will pull out her teeth. But she was like a piece of sherry, soft and soft. You can knead and pinch her and she will let you do as you please. If you pinch her too hard, she will even reveal a variety of fruit sandwiches. It's so disgusting. Jiang Zhao held his forehead and walked to the kitchen. He opened the glass door and looked at the woman with her long, white legs. Jiang Zhao looked at the woman who was cooking noodles. It was such a waste to cook noodles with such a seductive scene. Remembering her revenge, he spoke harshly. I didn't expect that Miss from Yun University's slender fingers would also be exposed to the sun. Yi was cutting scallions and ginger on the chopping board. She did not raise her head and just shrugged her shoulders. She focused on the knife. I didn't do it before, but my father got into an accident. Other than the villa with my grandmother's name on it, everything in my house was sealed. The money in my bank account is the pocket money that my father usually gives me, so I don't dare to use it carelessly. It's too expensive to eat at high-end restaurants. Sijie would have diarrhea after eating at small restaurants outside, so I learned how to cook by myself. At first, I just had to cook it until it was cooked, but Sijie's body was still growing. In order to let him eat more, I started to learn how to cook dishes that look, smell, and taste good. It's actually very simple. Yi even laughed out loud after she finished speaking. At this moment, Jiang Zhao had already turned around and left. When Yi heard the glass door close, she tightened her grip on the knife's handle. She looked at the green and white scallions with sparkling and translucent water droplets dripping onto them. She stroked her face with her index finger and then put it into her mouth. Ah, so it was this bitter. Yi didn't understand many things in the past. For example, how did her father, who started from scratch, become a financial criminal? She didn't understand why after her father got into an accident, her mother left, her relatives distanced themselves from her, and her uncles became strangers to her. She didn't understand why actors had to sleep with directors. Why did models have to sleep with sponsors? She didn't understand because she wasn't even 18 years old at the time. Now she understood. Because she had spent more than 10 years of other people's lives in this 1 year, she understood that the princesses of this world should live in fairy tales. They shouldn't have to do any household chores, while the commoners should know the cruelty of reality. They should know that humans couldn't win against the heavens. The only thing that could win against the heavens was luck. If she was still the same as before, she would have thrown the kitchen knife at Jiang Zhao. Cut scallions and cook noodles? Cut your brother, cook your sister. To Yi surprise, Jiang Zhao didn't make things difficult for her anymore. It seemed like this vicious guy really liked women who were obedient and didn't have any thorns on them. Because he seemed to have forgotten that he should glare at her a few more times and mock her more. He just went to bed and turned off the lights after taking a shower. When he kissed, he was like a real prostitute. It turned out that the kiss of a prostitute was soft and lingering, as if there was a magnet in each other's bodies. Jiang Zhao was far more gentlemanly in bed than out of bed. After he took off his clothes, the passionate and gentle collision made people feel like they had barged into a gorgeous dream created by a dream creator. Ye felt that this was a beautiful dream. The doorbell's ringing didn't seem to be in a hurry, but it started ringing again after it finally stopped. Ye really didn't want to move. She reached out to push Jiang Zhao to open the door, but when she reached out it was empty. The spot where the person was sleeping next to her was no longer warm. She reached out to grab the clock on the bedside table. Oh my god, it was 11:30. Jiang Zhao had already gone to work. She put on Jiang Zhao's pajamas from yesterday and looked out of the peephole. She was shocked. Was Lu Qing? Was Lu Qing here to pick up Jiang Zhao? She didn't dare to open the door. Her phone rang, so she ran to the bedroom to get it. When she picked it up, it was a call from Lu Qing. Ye, boss asked me to bring you some clothes. Ye's face was as red as a monkey's butt. When she opened the door and saw Lu Qing, her face was still red. It was very awkward. Lu Qing looked around cautiously and passed the shopping bags to Ye. He didn't look uncomfortable or embarrassed. Even if the person in front of him was his girlfriend's best friend, he was still able to keep a straight face. Ye, I will leave first. If you need anything, just give me a call. Ye saw Lu Qing leaving and quickly stopped him. She paused for a while and said softly, Lu Qing, I think I should tell Ling Ling about this myself. Lu Qing said, it's better to keep this a secret. It's better not to tell anyone. Those who know about this will not get any benefits. Ye was amazed by the mayor's secretary's quality. She closed the door and took out her clothes to change. It was an ankle-length dress made of mulberry silk. It was white and had a hem. When the wind blew, it would definitely flutter. The chest and shoulder straps were handmade. The quality of the fabric and workmanship was good. She didn't even need to look at the price tag to know it was expensive. Jiang Zhao wanted her to dress like Xiaolong. If she were to wear this dress outside, people would laugh at her. To match the dress, Ye even tied her hair into 2 loose braids. She looked as pure as a fairy. Lu Qing returned to the deputy mayor's office. He had completed his task. Jiang Zhao rolled up his sleeves and frowned as he stared at the documents. When he raised his head to look at Lu Qing, he gave him a smile that made Lu Qing at a loss for words. Jiang Zhao gently tossed the document in his hand aside and lazily sat on the leather chair. Lu Qing, do you know why I asked you to deliver the clothes today? Lu Qing replied, this is because boss trusts me. Jiang Zhao laughed. Actually, I want to see if Mayor Chen's men have the guts to report my private matters to him. Lu Qing looked at Jiang Zhao, who purposely paused for a moment. He was furious. Jiang Zhao continued, you are Zheng Ling's boyfriend. You know better than Yun Yi what happened to Yun Hongwei. He had chosen the wrong side and became the victim of the power struggle. Don't think that I don't know that you were pretending to be drunk and allowed Zheng Ling to steal the room card. You did not release those photos because you felt that Mayor Chen did not know about it. Lu Qing knew that Jiang Zhao was a shrewd person. But he did not expect him to be so shrewd. He could not hide his panic. Boss, actually you are right. A good bird chooses a good tree to nest in. Mayor Chen's title does not have a deputy in front. Jiang Zhao purposely said. Lu Qing could not take it anymore. He immediately expressed his stand. Mayor Jiang, I have always been on your side. Lu Qing had always been close to Jiang Zhao and addressed him as boss. But this time he had to use honorifics. Jiang Zhao nodded his head in satisfaction and asked Lu Qing to leave the office. His smile faded as he took out his phone and dialed a number. His gaze fell on the door lock that Lu Qing had closed. The light in his eyes grew deeper and deeper. After the other side picked up, he said in a deep voice, Ichin, let's start setting up that big game of chess. Add, Shinwu 799, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.